All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today and waiting patiently, as always, for the intro to finish up. There comes Luna back. And there is Boss. He's chilling. He's chilling. He's ready. Boss is ready. You good, dude? Boss is here to wish everybody a happy Easter. Me as well. It's Easter Sunday. He's making rolls. He's making biscuits. He's doing something. Luna's over here too. But yeah, appreciate you guys joining me on this Easter Sunday. We do actually have some topics to go over and talk about today, interestingly enough. But let me see here. I see hold on, Carl said something funny. He said happy only on PlayStation Easter, y'all. Ain't no way, man. Ain't no way. All right. Michael, what's up, man? You're saying MEG a couple of days ago, I beat Resident Evil Requiem 22 hours. I missed 2 of the breakable raccoons. Are you going to go back and get them? Are you going to try to get the platinum? 22 hours? That's, I think that's longer than most, dude. Yeah, to be honest, when it comes to completing Resident Evil 9. So it sounds like you took your time with it, which is very cool. Yeah, Requiem was awesome. Still the best game I played all year so far. Not that we're that far into the year, but MBG, did you see that what the ex-Halo dev said on I saw something about it. I didn't look too deeply into it, honestly. Titus says, happy Easter, guys. Hope everybody had a nice Easter lunch. Well, happy Easter to you as well, Titus. SDO, what's going on, man? Capono, what's wrong? What's wrong, Capono? But yeah, guys, today we do have some PlayStation topics to go over and talk about. We'll probably just talk about some random gaming related stuff as well. Yeah, Daniel, that's pretty much a big aspect of what we're going to be talking about today. Again, a lot of these topics, it's not that I want to keep just talking about them for the sake of talking about them, but it seems like every other day we have new updates, new reports, new things happening to kind of, update to keep us in the know, I guess, to update us with the latest happenings of next gen or, Sony's PC approach. And yeah, one of the things we're going to be talking about today is how Sony is like, they're deleting I guess any mention of PC on the back end of PlayStation, which is fascinating. And, another indication of where they may be headed. We will discuss that. We're going to be talking a little bit about Starfield, specifically how Bethesda is outlining how far they went to optimize this game for PS5. And man, let me tell you, man, Bethesda is going all in, taking advantage of the PS5 Pro, really trying to give this game a second chance, I suppose. New life on PlayStation. So we'll talk about that as well. We're also going to be talking about how Sony has once again removed multiple publishers from the PlayStation Store. And this is a good thing. They're removing the garbage publishers that are just publishing nothing but slop, trash, AI nonsense that just clutters up the PlayStation storefront. So it does seem that Sony is getting very serious about, or they are very serious. They've already been doing this. They're serious about cleaning up their storefront and getting rid of this stuff. I think they're starting to realize that the only thing this does is actually hurt their, their overall potential when it comes to people engaged with the PlayStation Store. So we'll talk about that as well. Saying there's literally nothing new, by the way. Sony hasn't formally said anything. Well, of course they haven't said anything specifically. They're not going to say anything if they do until May. But what we are looking at are things that are happening behind the scenes that are confirmed to be happening. At least some of those things confirmed. And it basically is slowly kind of corroborating what we've been hearing. And, of course, there are still people in some level of denial, which is fine. A lot of people don't want to believe anything and refuse to believe anything until it's made official. Can't blame anybody on that. These days, more than half the stuff you see on the internet is just completely made up. Anyway, you think Starfield will sell better than Soros? I think it has a good chance. Yeah, it's coming in at $50. It's, the big Bethesda RPG that was taken away from PlayStation and now brought back. I think it has a chance. Yeah, I don't think it would be that crazy. I mean, if Starfield was coming in at $70, could it outsell at that price point? Perhaps, maybe, but that's the big thing that people seem to be focused on with Starfield coming to PlayStation is how it's coming in at a cheaper price point, which I don't think people were expecting that, especially after what we saw with like something like Forza Horizon 5, where like that just came in at, Well, that's the thing. You're saying PlayStation fans hated Starfield. Are we speaking about all PlayStation fans? Because last I checked, there are millions of PlayStation fans that love Bethesda games. I think what you're talking about are the radicals, the radical fanboys on the internet. And that's true. That's absolutely true. I imagine those guys are not going to play Starfield because that would be weird. You pre-ordered both. Well, there you go. Going to cover all bases. They do have a $70 version. Yeah, if you want I think that comes with the DLC. We'll go over all that. Muhammad, I can only assume you're not getting Starfield on PS5. Ray says, I have over 4,000 hours just in Fallout 4. Please don't speak for me. We're speaking for you, Ray. Ray, we know that you think Starfield is trash. Okay? And now that it's on PlayStation, it's amazing. We know that, Ray. That's amazing. We're just playing, Ray. See, but that's proof. That is proof, though, man. 4,000 hours just on Fallout 4. I personally have never been into Bethesda's RPGs. Verko, you're saying you played 450 hours of Starfield on PC. And Ray says he has plenty more in all the other Fallout games. Damn. Will, there's no way. Will says PlayStation just made Starfield better. That's the Sony magic. Oh, Will. Titus, you're saying you're not getting it. You got it for the PC and didn't love it. The engine and systems were made. It was made on, had a ton of loading screens. It was so archaic. Rich, we got Rich Rod in the chat. He's letting us know Starfield is trash. Looks like a 360 game. Okay. Starfield. I said Starfield. Rich Rod's going to buy 2 copies. Rich is buying 2 copies. Absolutely. Rich, it's okay, man. This is a safe space. You can tell us the truth. It's fine. MBG, from the people that got to play several hours of Soros, you've seen quite a few of them say it's game of the year material. Nobody would say that about Starfield. That is true. Although I do believe that these games are not necessarily comparable. I feel like the problem with Starfield versus trying to compare it to something like Soros is coming from Returnal, right? And with Returnal, it being developed by Housemarque, when you look at what Housemarque developed prior to Returnal, the expectations were not through the roof. You know what I mean? People weren't expecting Returnal to be some kind of like, monumental generational game release. And because of that, people were actually pleasantly surprised when they played it. They're like, yo, this is way better than I would have expected. To whereas now going from that to Soros, the expectations are higher for Soros. But that's when you look at something like Starfield. Starfield, from what I can tell, it's not a bad game. Like, it doesn't seem like a bad video game. But what it seems like to me is that it crumbled under the weight of expectation, where people were looking at specifically something like Skyrim and even like, Fallout 3 and 4 and expecting Starfield to be like the next the next major title from Bethesda that's going to leapfrog those games. And in reality, I think for most people, it didn't capture the same magic. And so that's where I think the idea of comparing these games directly in terms of like, which one would be received better. Because you're right, people are talking about Soros potentially being an early game of the year contender. And I think, it's because they control the message of like, this is a very fast paced, action oriented bullet hell slash what do they call it, bullet ballet type game. And they're bringing on a bigger team to go all in with the cinematics to make the storytelling aspect of it maybe land a bit better with people. And there are people that I've seen, they talk about the previews of Saros and they just assume like, yeah, it's just the media glazing Sony because everything Sony does is game of the year. But that's funny because these are the same people that will, show me how Ghost of Tsushima only got like an 83 on Metacritic or something, or they'll remind me of Days Gone, getting like a 70 on Metacritic. So it's like, which is it? It's always the same thing. Like the media just always glazes Sony and always says every game they release is a game of the year contender, or if Sony puts out mid boring cinematic walking simulators that get 70s and whatnot on Metacritic. I don't know. Can't tell with these people. But yeah, I think here's the point though, right? Here's the bigger point. Whether you want to talk about Saros versus Starfield, how are they comparing Saros versus whatever else they're going to be releasing? I think the point is if you're playing on PS5 in April, you have a lot of games to choose from, starting with Starfield, right? And it is interesting to talk about Starfield a little bit because it's like I was here, and I know many of you guys were here as well, really looking at just how important Starfield was supposed to be. And was, frankly, for everything Xbox was trying to do. And honestly, Starfield, I think, was the last time Microsoft really leaned into the exclusivity aspect of the Xbox brand, where they really wanted it to be known that Starfield is an exclusive. And if you want to play it, you have to buy an Xbox or subscribe to Game Pass, or play it on Xbox through PC and whatnot. And yeah, that combined, I mean, there was this like major importance placed on it. And to look at where we are now, where the game, I mean, it's weird because like the way Bethesda was talking about it, Bethesda was talking about Starfield like, yeah, we always knew it was going to come to PlayStation. It's like, did you? I mean, maybe they did. Maybe they did. One of the things we can recall, right, is Pete Hines, shortly before he retired after, the full integration of Bethesda into Microsoft, there was an email of his that leaked where he was basically complaining to Phil Spencer, being like, bro, like, why does our stuff have to be exclusive? Like, why can't we release our stuff on PlayStation? And there was this kind of like push and pull type thing going on there. And so maybe Bethesda really did believe, yeah, like eventually we're getting this thing on PlayStation. SDO with a £5 super chat says the same people who criticized PlayStation games celebrated when Steam was going to be on the next gen Xbox/PC so they could play PlayStation games? ? Dude, I don't get it. I literally, yesterday, somebody told me, they were like, it's okay. Like, it's okay if Sony doesn't want to put their games on PC because you're not missing much anyway. They don't release many games. And I had to inform them, like, dude, in the next 5 months, not even half a year, they're releasing 3 AAA games. I'm talking Sony published games. I'm not even talking about Phantom Blade Zero, which is a timed exclusive. They're releasing Saros, first party published, Marvel Tokon, first party published, and Wolverine, first party published. And I like had to inform this person. I'm like, dude, I don't know what planet you're living on, but a publisher putting out 3 AAA games within 5 months is very good. Like, that's very good for most publishers, if not all publishers. And that's where I had to inform this person. It's like, what you mean to say is you don't like these games. and you don't care for them. That's what you mean to say. Too many people, and yeah, if you count Marathon, dude, that's depending on I guess it's sometimes I forget that Marathon just come out a month ago. That's literally 4 AAA games within 6 months. It's like, what do you people want? You don't. That's the thing. The answer is you don't want Sony's games. That's the answer. That's what you really want. That's what you really want to say. And that's what's crazy to me. That's why it's so weird to me to see people react like that. Like, did you guys see that article from PC Gamer? Oh my God. We have Glassdoor Gamer with a $5 chat saying PC gamers / media are toxic liars. PC gaming has been more powerful than consoles since the 80s. It's always the future that never comes. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, there's always been this for like generations, right? Oh, hold on. Very glad. Rich, stand down, boy. Yo, I am so glad that my TTS was not working because I'm not reading that whole thing. Rich, I want to let you know right now, dude, and I'm serious about this. All right. And this is actually important for you to know because you are a mod too. Like, I'm not talking about any. Nope. No more. Never again. And I'm dead serious about it. Okay. This is my house. I'm protecting my house. We got a good community here. I'm not letting any of that nonsense in, dude. Nothing. So you keep that in mind, Rich. Doesn't mean I'm going to war. I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not going to fight. It's my basement. This is my basement. I'm not looking for a fight. I refuse. I have better things to do. I have more important things to do. My community deserves better. My community deserves the best that they can get from me. Okay? So, just keep that in mind, Rich. Stand down, calm down. I understand you had a stressful week, though, bro. Hopefully that situation is resolved because that was crazy. But thank you for the $2 donation, Rich. All right. So is PC gaming the new Xbox since Xbox retired from the war after the generational hiding? No. I think it's a transition. I think we're seeing Xbox transition into a completely different era. And that new era is one where they're not competing with Sony. We'll see. I mean, a lot can change in a year, dude. You know, but who knows? We're like, I'm seeing people go around saying like, Gears is going to be exclusive, and I'm like, what is happening? What do you mean Gears is going to be exclusive? Like, Halo is not exclusive. What is going on? So this could be a situation where, you know, maybe there are going to be some changes that nobody's truly anticipating. Because I'll tell you what, man, if you had told PC players, or not even PC players, even just PlayStation players, a year and a half ago that Sony's going to be, they're just going to pull the plug on PC, we wouldn't have believed you because it's like, that's not at all what Sony's signaling. Sony's doing the opposite. Sony is releasing more games on PC than ever before at a faster rate than ever before. They just released Helldivers on Xbox. So, you know, PlayStation players would not have believed you if you said that, but here we are a year and a half later, and now everything we're hearing is like, no, Sony's going back, dude. Like, they are doing a 180. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that, like, we don't know, we can't assume to know what decisions these companies are going to make, and we still have to continue to just expect anything. And that goes for Sony's approach to PC, that goes for Microsoft's approach to exclusivity, and that goes for the PC side of things as well. And Petrov, a member for 9 months, says, keep up the good work, MBG. Well, thank you for that, Petrov. And yeah, before we continue on here, guys, do me a favor, take a moment, hit that like button. If you guys enjoy the streams, if you enjoy Press X Podcast, hitting that like button is the easiest thing you can do to really help out. We've been getting new people here. I don't know if you've noticed, we've been getting new people subscribing to the channel. I've been seeing some new people in the streams. So whatever you guys are doing, it's working. Keep hitting that like button. We're going to push for 100 likes. If you want to support the channel directly, consider becoming a member. Gifting memberships, we hit 25, we'll feed the beast. Super chats, direct donations, these are all ways in which you can support. I can only do it because you guys make it possible. So big shout out to everybody who supports. Call of Duty is one of the biggest moneymakers for PS5, and Xbox bought him out. Yeah, but Sony's still making the exact same amount of money that they were. It's just the largest portion of that money is now flowing into Microsoft's pockets. But it still isn't enough, apparently. Sony's going back. He truly has risen. Damn, Michael. Damn. Glassdoor Gaming with a super chat says, Destin is really hurt by PlayStation PC pullback. What makes you say that? I don't follow Destin. I don't know what he's been saying. I mean, I do think that there are people, I'm not saying it's him, because again, I haven't watched his content. I have no idea. Anecdotally speaking, I have encountered a lot of people, even on like my video that I released today, where they firmly believe that Sony is making a bad decision. And I get it. Like, I get it. Hold on. So this is what Rich Rod has to say, apparently.
I am proud PS did the right thing. XP and PC deserve nothing but death by my snibbles. UP0S scumbags deserve to one-oi play trash games, soy boys.
Death by mice nibbles. Rich, that's about as toxic as it gets, bro. That's about as toxic as it gets. I want death by mice nibbles. That's what you deserve, Xbox. That's what you're going to get. Anyway, thank you for the $2 direct donation, Rich. I know, that's crazy. That's crazy. Rich just, yeah, he's got mice on the mind, bro. He's on that plague tale. Titus says, for the new people, what's Feed the Beast? Well, MBG has a cat, and he bought 30,000 remaindered holy wafers, and he makes his cat chomp down 25 at a time. Titus, bro, you just come out of left field sometimes with these dark jokes. Let me see here. We got another super chat from the Gaming Ledger. He says, been following the PlayStation change in strategy since last year. Called that they are potentially pulling back, but was called a fanboy. Well, of course, you're still going to be called a fanboy, because here's the thing. If you're somebody who's okay with Sony doing this, that means you're okay with exclusivity. And what they've determined is that if you're okay with exclusivity, then you're just in the wrong. And to me, that's just nonsense. It's like we're going to sit here and pretend that exclusivity hasn't been the name of the game in this industry for the entire time. And I get that people are going to be like, well, that doesn't mean it's good or make it fine. But it's like, no, it is fine. Like, it's always been fine. It's totally fine if a first-party console manufacturer wants their studios to make their games exclusive to their hardware. It's always been fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You know? And I get, again, like, it feeds into the conversation, the Gaming Ledger, that we've had time and time again, where it's like there are people who just want the industry to turn into a homogenous blob where you just, it doesn't matter, like everything's available everywhere. And I'm like, that will never happen, ever. For any like, people need to wake up and realize that's never going to happen. Even now, if you want to go subscribe to a video streaming service, they have things that are exclusive to that service. Sure, the hardware aspect may change and go away. That may fade into the distance over a long period of time. But the reality is exclusivity is going to be a thing that I'm going to assume PlayStation, obviously Nintendo, maybe even who knows what happens with Microsoft as well. They might leverage these things in the future. MBG, when Valve releases a Steam machine with Half-Life 3, watch it not be on console. Yeah, what would they say then? You know what they'll say? They're like, well, they should release it on PlayStation. They don't mean that, though. I mean, let's face it. If the Steam machine launched with Half-Life 3 as an exclusive, it's like Steam fanboys would be in their glory, bro. Come on. Let's not even kid ourselves. We're like, who's gonna deny that? And that's fine. That's fine. But that's the thing. Like, if I were to look at Valve and be like, wait a second, Valve, hold on. You're making a box that you're going to sell, and you're going to try to get people to buy it and put it in their living room. And you've decided that the best way to sell that box is to offer a major system seller, like a guaranteed system seller. And that's what you're going to use to move that box. Makes total sense. Like, that makes perfect sense. And I would not be against it. But, Valve is different because they're private, and Valve might not care. They're just like, yeah, put it on PlayStation. We don't care. Put it on Xbox, PlayStation, put it everywhere. Put it on Switch too, for all we care. They might do that. Is Half-Life 3 even real? There were so many rumors about that, and now it's just, what is it now? Like, it seemed like it was about to get announced at the end of last year, and nothing happened. Kaz Jam with the super chat, you're saying, I don't see Burger King selling Big Macs. Exactly. And, listen, I guess it almost gets into like a more philosophical debate. And I just personally feel that a company developing a hardware that they're trying to sell does not need to justify why they want to do exclusives from their own first-party studios. I don't think that needs justification. So, like, if Microsoft did turn around and they said, we are making Gears E-Day exclusive, I'd say, okay, no explanation needed. I mean, we would talk about it and be like, what does this mean? What changed? But they don't have to explain. If they just literally said it's because we want to sell consoles, I don't know that they would be successful because of, how crazy of a like whiplash 180 that would be. But yeah, it's like, I get it. I've always understood the notion that we are building a device and we want to incentivize people to buy that device, and offering exclusive games is a great way to do that. I mean, the fact of the matter is, even on the PC side, dude, like, there are absolutely people who go to PC because there are games that are released for that platform that don't make their way to console. And so they go there because they know they can't get it anywhere else. Now, I'm not saying that's the most common reason, but I'm just saying that does exist. And so, once again, I have to highlight that this latest news we're seeing where, by the way, for those who may have missed it, Sony apparently they had on the back end. So they have all this iconography on the back end of the PlayStation ecosystem. And on there, they had PS5/PC and then cross-buy. And this seems to indicate that at one point in time, the job listings were true, obviously. They were, they were building some kind of PC launcher. And it seems like they were actually getting ready to go all in with this idea of like, we're making a big play to PC. We're going to enable cross-buy. We're going to like kind of, follow what Microsoft is doing here. But apparently it's been canceled because those icons have now been deleted. Like, it straight up says deleted and removed on the back end. And this comes just 2 weeks after Jason Schreier said, yeah, Sony's done with PC. Like, outside of the few occasional multiplayer games they release, they're done with PC. And so, yeah, man, it's just another indication that these reports are seemingly turning out true. And I see, again, I kind of want to have this conversation where it's like, I see so many people, they're leaning in the direction. Not everybody, but I see them. And I just, I'm just kind of curious of like the mentality here to see the other side of it, of like, what is this the wrong thing for Sony to do? A lot of people believe it's wrong, like they're going in the wrong direction. This is a mistake. Now, granted, I think it's coming at a bad time where it's like we hear this news that they're pulling away from PC, and we're talking about the potential of $1,000 PlayStation 6. Those two things don't go together very well. Devil Sure, you're saying I brag having access to emulators and ROMs and mods, reasons I like PC. Well, there you go. Those are technically exclusives, right? In some sense, things you can't do on console. See, that's what's weird to me, man, is like, I do find it strange that some people, not you, Devil Shooter, but certain people who I think end up looking more hypocritical than they realize, where they will, really try to degrade people. Where it's like, you're bragging about exclusive games, like wow, man, like what's wrong with you? These crazy fanboys. But then, like, these are the same people that will brag about all these things that you can do on PC that are not available to do on console. And it's like, see what we have that you don't. And that's what makes it better. And it's like, but we're going to not count arguably the most important thing, which is games. Do you see what I'm saying? The logic here in a lot of cases, it doesn't hold up. No, Rich, I'm not calling you a hypocrite. Rich, I think you misunderstand. He's talking to you, Devil Shooter. Don't let him fool you. I'm watching you, Devil Shooter. We got Devil Shooter, the PC bum, in the chat. Nah, Devil Shooter's cool, man. Devil Shooter's proof, among many other people here, like Titus, that PC players are cool, bro. Just like we got a lot of cool PlayStation players. I got Nintendo players on here. Some Xbox players. Not many. Not many Xbox players, but just goes to show. Just goes to show, man. Where you choose to play doesn't necessarily determine, how, at least it shouldn't, right? It shouldn't determine how people view you in these conversations. PlayStation Portable sounds like a real headache. I don't think it will do well. What makes you say it sounds like a headache? I mean, I don't know if it'll do well. All the Xbox players got banned, every one of them. Yeah, you even mentioned you play on Xbox. You're out. I almost just banned Rich Rod. He said he had a Series X. This close, he's on thin ice, bro. Rich Rod, shut it. No way. Tarnish, you're saying MBG, read my chat above. Saying, funny how you changed your tune, MBG. You used to pretend and feign ignorance on exclusive importance, and now you're pushing it with very unapologetic and brash tune / energy after Sony changed course. Why, MBG? Well, because honestly, I felt like I had to take the knee, bro. That's why. It's because I figured, like, dude, if you go back to the history of my channel, I've never been against exclusivity. And if you listen to the moments you're talking about, right? If you were to go back, I would say the furthest I went is basically saying, like, this is just the way things are going now. It doesn't, like, I had to make it clear that if Sony decides they are done with exclusives, that doesn't mean I'm done with PlayStation. That's what I tried to make abundantly clear, because that's where I couldn't agree with some of the takes. It was a little bit of a civil war, so to speak, within the PlayStation and just, general gaming community. It's not about being against, but the energy you used to exude, which was whatever. I mean, that's where we are. Yeah, I'm not pushing against it. Well, yeah, because how was I supposed to push against it? Because look at what I would go up against. Think about it. It's like, if I push against it, Sony's going to tell me we're not doing that. And then on top of that, there's going to be all these people that are super happy Sony's not doing that are going to tell me I'm wrong for pushing against it. So yeah, if you're trying to identify that I didn't care to fight for exclusivity, you're right. I didn't, and I still wouldn't. If it came out like tomorrow that no, Sony's actually getting ready to release a PlayStation app on everything, I still wouldn't fight for exclusivity. I would say my piece. I would say that, I don't know, I think going all in on exclusives for your console, for your hardware to strengthen your ecosystem makes more sense to me. But if this is the direction you want to go in, because that's seemingly where Microsoft and PC and like outside of Nintendo, that's where everybody's going, then go for it. And I've acknowledged that there are absolutely downsides to that. I've acknowledged there's upsides to it as well, and that's kind of the double-edged sword of it. Like, if you told me right now Saros is going to release on Xbox, PC, Switch, total multi-platform, I'd say dude, Housemarque is going to have such a great chance of selling way more copies. But I would also say, Sony, that's a game that, that's like one less exclusive. That's one less reason for people to consider it a PS5. That combined with a higher price tag of the PS5, it's like, it's like, do you want to kill your own console? You can. That I don't support. But I get where you're coming from, Tarnished. I totally get it. And, that's because, honestly, I am surprised as well. It's about sticking to your own word. Well, yeah, but at the same time, I do try to be open-minded towards things. And again, you know that one of my weaknesses, I mean, it's a strength and a weakness, is being too open-minded, dude. Like, you know, considering things that maybe actually are not good. I mean, I've run into this problem literally with other people where it's like I'm being too kind, like I'm being too I'm being too lenient and not sticking to like my gut and my intuition enough. And so I am absolutely guilty of that. But you know, you live and you learn. And to be honest, I am glad that Sony is seemingly going back to exclusivity and pulling back from PC because, well, honestly, for as happy as I was at the idea of like, okay, yeah, more people will be able to play PlayStation games and more people will be able to potentially buy these games and it'll bring in some more revenue. Those are all good things. I'm happy on PlayStation. And yeah, I do naturally lean more towards I don't know, man. I think you should buy PlayStation. It's pretty great. You should buy a PlayStation. It's a great console. I think you'll have a good time with it. I don't think you'll dislike it. Like, I mean, I can't say that for everybody, just like I couldn't recommend to everybody go to PC. You'll love it. Some people might not, but you know, I can only give my firsthand experience on what it's been like on the PlayStation 5. And while it hasn't been perfect, it's been a lot better than I think people make it sound. I think the problem with the internet now more than ever is people just say things and they say things very
I want to clarify. I
oh,
have a
hold on.
Crapbox Series 10 because I won it in a raffle. I have a super duper gaming PC for cybersecurity nerd purposes. XP Soy Boys.
I love how it says Series 10, bro. Rich Rod got that souped up Xbox Series 10. You got that Series 10. You got that I got the Xbox 10. Rich, thank you for clarifying. It's a good thing you clarified, bro, because you were this close, man. He won it in a raffle. Mm. When's the last time you played it, Rich? He's got a super PC for cybersecurity nerd purposes. Bro's secretly playing CSGO every night. Boss, please be careful, dude. And we have a super chat from Glassdoor Gaming. He says, PC gaming is an unoptimized mess. Imagine spending $3K for a glorified third-party box with no exclusives, driver issues, shader stutters, AI upscaling. And that's the thing, man. What you just said there, a lot of console players view it that way. They're just like, no thanks. That all sounds... Boss, why are you doing this? Boss, get down. Come on, go. Hold on. Come on. All right. I'm giving this boy some treats now because he's literally trying to chew the wires behind my setup. So I still want to encourage you guys to gift memberships. I'm still hopeful we'll hit 25. But Glassdoor Gaming, I'll respond to that in just a sec. Come here, boss. There. I mean, what you're saying, Glassdoor Gaming, I do think that some people view PC that way, in that it's too complicated. Not even that it's too complicated. It's just there's too much to it that can it makes it feel unnecessarily complex compared to the console, where again the console, its greatest strength is you plug and you play. You know, and the fact it's very expensive for PC gaming if you want the best experience. A lot of people who pay for that experience feel as though it's worth it. But I mean, yeah, dude, I think it's totally fine if PC players love PC. You know, I'll never be the person to tell you what you're enjoying something you enjoy. What's wrong with you? You like what you like? Hell no. I'm not gonna be the person to do that. I don't care for PC gaming, dude. Like I would never want to go to PC gaming because that's not how I want to game. That's just flat out not how I want to game. I don't appreciate people who try to tell me though. They try to tell me like, oh, you're just some kind of console peasant. It's like, no, dude, I'm a console player because console actually offers some pretty great experiences as well. People who can't acknowledge that, like I can acknowledge things can be great on PC. We can also acknowledge that things can be great on console. These things can coexist in harmony. It's possible. Last Door Gamer. It's possible. But I'm with you on the fact that I absolutely prefer console, dude. And, you know, if Sony does in the future decide they want to abandon exclusivity, and I did say this as well, I want to highlight this once more. When we were going down this road of like, okay, well, Sony's putting Helldivers on Xbox, I didn't expect that. They're releasing games very quickly onto PC, like Spider-Man and whatnot. Um, if they're really, and it seems like they're getting closer and closer day and date. If this is the direction they go in, I did talk to you guys about how Sony might need to anticipate. Oh, I said there's going to be one of two outcomes. Number one, nothing changes. Sony rips off this Band-Aid. They go all in with PC, day and date, exclusivity's a thing of the past, and yet they still sell just as many PlayStations. That's a possibility. It's risky, though. I said numerous times that Sony is taking a great risk in doing that because being able to just turn the ship around after doing that is going to be really hard, and you might not be able to pull it off. You might not be able to pull off that maneuver. So there's this idea that the other side of it is Sony makes that decision and the console basically starts to die a slow death. It starts bleeding out, And I can't really blame Sony for having that fear because it's like, okay, who else did this? Who else can we look at that had a successful console business that decided to go all in with putting games day and date on PC and even to the point where they're putting it on their competition, Microsoft. And it's like, okay, what's the state of their console? It's toast, bro. Their console did bleed out. And that's the thing. That's why I'm like, even though it's not a guarantee that would happen to Sony and the PlayStation console, why take that risk, especially when the money isn't even that great right now? So I always did say, even though I kind of was embracing this idea of like, I guess we're just going towards a homogenized future where exclusivity is just going to be relegated to Nintendo going forward. I also made it clear that, this could be the undoing of the PlayStation console where people are going to really start to just get to a point where they're like, you don't need to buy a PlayStation, But that's the thing. I'm seeing even weirder behavior out here. Saying only console fanboys act like this way, MBG. I have all consoles and PC, and there's nothing better than having a PC. I mean, that's. Do fanboys act sometimes overly aggressive towards other platforms? Yes. Yes, I can agree with that. Is that necessary? No, not really. But I think what you're saying here is that nothing's better than having a PC. That's just an opinion, man. That's just an opinion. And that's fine. You're allowed to feel that way. A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel that PC is the best way to play. And to those people, I will always reiterate, I'm never going to be the one to be like, PC sucks, bro. Like that's kind of stuff annoys me because I don't like when people do that to me. Like let's talk about the pros and the cons. Let's talk about what you like, what you don't, and our preferences. I don't like the idea of people being like, I'm gonna drop kick your preference, son, like for no reason. Rich, looking at you, Rich. Yeah, but I don't think that's the main reason nobody trusts Xbox anymore. Is the main one. They turn on a dime. That's true, too. Yeah, that's why I was kind of curious if Sony was going to go in that direction, because it's like, well, Sony didn't... I don't know. Sony and Microsoft are in different positions. Michael, you say I like how there's eggs hidden in your room. Missed opportunity on my part, dude. Silent Spartan, what's up, man? You're saying it wasn't Xbox abandoning exclusivity that hurt them. That is a myth. What hurt them was abandoning gaming as a focus at a critical moment in the digital... or of the digital revolution. And that's why I entertain the notion that, okay, if Sony does want to go in this direction where they're kind of giving up exclusivity, maybe they won't end up in the same position as Microsoft. And that could still be true. To be fair, that could be completely true. To be fair, Sony could tomorrow announce, actually, we're putting Soros day and date on PC and we're putting Wolverine day and date on PC. Hell, we even got Xbox ports and Switch ports. Sony could do that, and it could just be that, like, well, you lost a couple of sales. Like, you lost a few million sales, but your console's still totally stable and totally healthy. It's in very stable and healthy condition. That could be true. But I guess when I look at Sony and I figure if you're in their position, right, obviously it's most important for them to weigh this option. It's going to affect their bottom line, not mine, not yours. It's going to affect them more than anybody. They I think what they did ultimately is they looked at the money they made from PC, but then they looked at, you know, well, what have we done for 30 years? And that's a tough one, man. Like, I don't blame them because if it was me, it's like, dude, you've been in this business for over 30 years. You've had 5 console generations. And right now, the brand that is PlayStation, the ecosystem that is PlayStation is literally stronger than it's ever been, making more money and profit than it ever has. Why take that dive now when there's nothing here to indicate you need to do that? And that's the thing, right? As I think when we look back at Microsoft making the decision, we're putting our games day and date on PC, we're changing this, we're changing that, our strategy's pivoting, we're all about Game Pass. I look back and that was because, well, they had to do that. If you look at the first few years of the Xbox One, they weren't doing that. The first few years of the Xbox One was traditional. It's a box, you got exclusives for the box, and they're doing everything they can to try to sell the box. And nothing they were doing was working. It's not that they didn't have exclusives. A lot of people didn't feel like their exclusives were worth it, or maybe it was just the fact that what they did with the Kinect and always online DRM and that horrendous reveal, it just was like, dude, the reputation is ruined. Like, there's nothing you could do right now to convince people to stray away from the PS4, to choose an Xbox One over the PS4. There's just nothing you can do. And it really could just be that. And so there is an argument to be made that the worst thing Sony could do is not put their games on PC, is not go day and day on PC, is not give up exclusivity. The actual worst thing they could do is screw up the reveal of the PlayStation 6 and like damage their own reputation, like basically shoot themselves in the foot. And that I do believe. But again, there's just that kind of old, I want to say old, but that I guess you could say the proof is in the pudding, right? Where what did we do for PS1? We did exclusives. We drove people to the PlayStation 1. We convinced them to buy PS1. Was the PS1 console generation a success? Massively so. What did we do for the PlayStation 2? We did exclusives. We drove people to the PlayStation 2. And in fact, we didn't even have to half the time. We just let the DVD player, the DVD player's over-exaggerated, but, there were many factors as to why the PS2 succeeded, but that's what they did. And it worked. That was still their most successful console generation. What did you do with the PS3? You did that same thing, but you messed up on the price, you messed up on the reveal, and you had more competition. So what they had to do is rally behind it once more, double and triple down on it in the second half, and then they made that comeback. And then with the PlayStation 4, what did you do? You did consoles or console exclusives or just true exclusives, and you drove people to the PS4. You did basically the same thing for the PS5, except the only thing you did change is you backported games. And if you look at the PS5 generation, it's been just as successful, except there's one major standout. Sony is now coming out and being like, we didn't really make that much money. Like this, we don't know that this was even worth it. So there's an alternative here where it is possible that Sony, it's not even a matter of we're afraid it's going to hurt our console sales. We're afraid it's going to convince people to move away from PlayStation. It could actually just be we're afraid we're going to fail. And I don't think many people have considered that. And it's understandable because when you think about Sony going back to exclusivity, you just naturally think that, oh, they're just going back to the old ways, the previous way of doing it. Sure. They're going back to their muscle memory, so to speak. But there is this idea that Sony may actually be afraid of, like, what if we do announce Wolverine will drop day and date on PC and it really does nothing? It does just a little bit better. Is that worth it? Like, I mean, I I don't know that that's likely, but I don't know. It could just be this fear of like, how do you explain that to the shareholders? What do you do at that point? Now, if you do, if you pull that, if you rip that Band-Aid off and you still don't find big success in the PC marketplace, then not only did you just cause a massive, probably the biggest one in PlayStation history, a massive eruption from the fan base, freaking out, meltdowns across the board, weeks and months of headlines, you know? Pictures of Hiroki Totoki with the clown wig on, bro, for months. But you didn't even make good money on, you know what I mean? So it could just be that they're afraid that it simply will not be worth it. And, you know, again, if I'm Sony in that position, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe Helldivers 2 was just a kind of one-off thing, man, where, sure, any multiplayer games you do, maybe just drop those on PC and wish it the best, hope for the best, but I don't know. Why me with a $5 chat? You're saying Phil also said he didn't want to squeeze the fans. That's why you go to other platforms. Sony's okay with squeezing their fans to make that money up. Come on. How are you going to set me up for that one? Come on, bro. You're that he's just lobbing it up. He's just lobbing it up. Like, bro, Phil just squeezed the fan base harder than anybody right before and then left. He just violently squeezed the Xbox fan base. See, that's the problem with Phil Spencer, and that's the problem with all of these executives, is they just they say things and you have to understand, oh wait, right, you're making a salary, you're making a career here, like off of saying these things. Literally. You're just doing the bidding of your master. Phil, his parting gift to Xbox players was double, like multiple price increases for the consoles, then a 50% price increase for Game Pass. And oh, by the way, here's Halo, Gears, and Forza on PlayStation. Like, bro, that wasn't even a slap to the face. That's a straight up roundhouse. That's a Chuck Norris roundhouse to the face, bro, from Phil to the fans. And now this is why it's so funny to see Asha Sharma come in, where Asha's like, I'm getting back. Like, we're going back. And it's like, I bet you are. I hear you. I hear you, Asha. Why you gotta troll me like that, bro? Phil did warn. We're gonna squeeze you. That's true. You're right. He did warn. He did warn everybody. We're getting ready to squeeze you. You ready? But I mean, to be fair though, listen. To be fair, what you're saying is worth acknowledging, because it's like, dude, if Sony's whole goal is like, you want to bring people to PlayStation, you want to grow PlayStation, you want to really do so from the inside and let it move outward, talking about really, really premium priced next gen consoles, like even at $800, $900. I mean, dude, I don't know how you're going to do that. I mean, if there's one thing Phil did say that I agree with, even though he seemed like such a massive hypocrite, but you know, he was making logical sense. Is like, you can't really grow the market with like $1,000 consoles and devices and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that I agree with that. Like, how do you grow the market effectively? And this is why I'm saying, like, dude, Sony, if there's one thing I'll tell the PlayStation fan base, is this: be prepared to find out that Sony actually has a completely different card to play hidden up their sleeve that we don't yet know about. Not the console card, not the handheld card, not the exclusivity card. Something totally unexpected, out of left field, that we could guess, maybe cloud gaming card, something. But just don't be surprised if you find out that there is something else there, because yes, something here is not adding up. I will admit that. Something does not add up, where it's like, if Sony's, you know, taking steps back to get more defensive and prepare for a, you know, major attack that will be the PlayStation 6 and the reveal and a push towards next gen, the price points that we're hearing, I still maintain, dude, that like PS6 comes out at 800. It's not. Sony's taking the biggest chance they've ever taken on their PlayStation business by convincing themselves this can work. Where like you might be right, but my God, you are taking a chance, dude. This is going to be crazier than what we saw with the PS6 or the PS3, what we saw with the PS6. And that's what fascinates me is it's like what we're seeing and what we're hearing. It's like this might be what they're actually doing. Leo Jimmy with a $10 chat says MBG money, perfect analogy. What Chun-Li did to Jackson in Bloodsport. Chun-Li initially was overconfident while Jackson had the upper hand but didn't finish the job. Xbox equals Jackson. Chun-Li equals Sony Van Damme equals PC. We got Leo Jimmy in here with the Bloodsport reference. Dude, what a classic. What a classic. I haven't seen that movie in so long, man. What a great movie. I love that Bolo's just in that movie, too, as like the bad guy. He's awesome. Bolo's awesome. Van Damme, obviously, legendary. But that's an apt analogy, I'd say, Leo. It's not very often I get Bloodsport analogies. Chun-Li, yeah. I don't remember the names too well either. But it is a classic. Dude, yeah, the ending fight in that movie is incredible. Especially when he like he puts like the some kind of powder in his eyes and he's all like Chun-Li. Oh, let me see. Yes, Chun-Li, played by Bolo. 1988. Oh man. Bro. Bloodsport was so good.
Exclusives are irrelevant. PC is rapidly growing without them. PS Studios can shut down tomorrow, and PS will still reach 100 million regardless.
You think so? Ooh, that's Venino. Venino coming in with, at least I think that second part, that's a hot take. The first part, I mean, I don't know that exclusives are irrelevant. Venino, I cannot agree with that. I can respect your opinion on it, but I have to also respectfully disagree because I feel like exclusives still are such a major defining aspect of the industry where even if we just remove PlayStation, just Nintendo alone, it like continues to prove that exclusives are definitely relevant. But I do think that PlayStation is gonna, them doubling down on it might, it's like there are people betting against Sony right now with this decision. There are people betting against the idea of them, coming out and being like, yep, if you want to play this game, you got to buy a PlayStation. PS6 or PS5, who knows, maybe even just PS6. There are people assuming that it's like, okay, well, if you want to fail and not sell games, go ahead. But it's like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like, apparently Spider-Man at this point is like at 17, 18 million copies sold. I'm like, do you know how insanely good that is? Now, granted, it is on PC, but apparently like 17 million on console alone with less than 1 million on PC. Like, do you know how that's like mind-blowingly good, honestly. But you're saying PC is rapidly growing without exclusives. And I mean, look, man, here's what I'll say. There's this argument that exists, if not an argument, because some people don't even care to argue it. They just like to shout it. PC is going to take over. Like, PC is the future. And I need people to understand, like, that's just simply not true. And you know why? Because there's always going to be a large market of consumers, of people who want to engage with video games that will not do so with PC, no matter what. Now, I'm not saying that means they're going to go to console. I'm just saying, you're talking about they'll game on their phone, they'll game on a laptop, on an iPad, on a tablet, or they'll game on a console, or, who knows, if cloud streaming services become more ubiquitous, they'll choose something like that, perhaps. And that's why I'm just saying, like, we know console gaming isn't going to become the future. Well, I will say this though, like when we talk about, I guess we should differentiate PC from Steam, right? Somebody might say Steam is, it's starting to take over to a degree. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, dude, if you see like the concurrent players, Steam is like constantly breaking concurrent player counts and stuff. Steam as a platform is insanely good and still climbing and still going. And so that right there is, what would make something like the Steam machine way more interesting to me is if they actually were like, we're trying to sell it for 400. That would be crazy. That's something where Sony would actually have to be scared. But that's not seemingly, but that's the thing is like Valve just doesn't care. Ironically, like Valve, people make the joke like Valve wins and they just don't care. Like do nothing and win. And that's true. And that's what they're doing. Like they're just kind of doing their own thing, chilling out. And they're just like, yeah, if you like what we do, engage with it. And so I do think Steam and people going to Steam and people choosing that as their go-to platform, I do think that is growing. And that is something that I've said this before, and I'll say it again, Sony does need to pay attention to. Sony would be absolutely foolish to completely ignore that. I don't think that they need to like panic and think like, oh my God, like people are leaving, PlayStation en masse to go to Steam. That's not happening either. But the reality is there is seemingly not enough room at this point in time for all these things that once existed to exist, where things can't be as fractured anymore. Like PlayStation is fine doing its own thing. I mean, you're saying they could hit 100 million sold without exclusives? No, I don't think they could, dude. I do not think that's true. I think that Sony, at the very least, like, do I think Sony needs games like the smaller ones, the smaller to, I don't want to say, I don't feel bad calling them small, but like, if you look at the titles that would not be considered tentpole titles for Sony, tentpole exclusives, like God of War Ragnarok, like Spider-Man, like Horizon, Ghost of Yotei. But the smaller ones like Soros and Astrobot, Returnal, stuff like that, do I think Sony could make it to 100 million without those? Probably, yeah. But they would absolutely need the big tentpole titles because I don't think people understand how much of a system seller a lot of these games actually are. Like, I don't think people understand how motivated people are to actually buy a PlayStation for something like God of War Ragnarok or something like Spider-Man or something like Wolverine. And so you are talking maybe about the PlayStation generation being successful. Like, could it sell 50, 60, 70 million? Maybe. It's a big maybe without exclusives at all. It's certainly possible. But in terms of like really pushing to that coveted, 90 to, I'd say between 90 and 110 million, I'm not so sure. I in fact, I would say just straight up no. I don't think they could do that. Saying Steam has it all. Stop capping. Who's capping? I don't know if that was meant for me or not. It's all coalescing, right? There's less people with the kind of discretionary income now than there used to be to either buy a console or PC. Well, that's why I keep the door open, Titus. During these conversations, I absolutely keep the door open to, the possibility of Sony having a different plan that they have yet to reveal, that it's like, oh no, you guys thought. Like this idea, like you guys thought we were just going right, like we were actually just going to go back to pure exclusivity and selling consoles. Like, actually, no, we have a plan to expand PlayStation in a way that we haven't shared yet. It's not putting games on Steam. It's not that. It's something else. It's not mobile gaming. It's something else. That I am bracing for that because yeah, it's like I said, man, something the only other alternative that we talked about is that Sony's going to be like, well, we're just going to pass we're going to just ask for we're going to ask for more from our install base. And they could do that. And I'll make the argument that it depends on how you do that. There's an okay way to do that that can leave certain people happy and people who are not interested totally fine. There's a bad way to do that where it's like you just aggressively start. Not necessarily, man. Well, I mean, you're saying that's what they're doing now. I don't know about that. Like, we will find out. I'll tell you that. We will find out. If Sony comes out and once again brags about their, well, I guess it wouldn't be this quarter because the price increase is basically going in towards, or it's being implemented towards the end of their quarterly earnings. I think they'll have like about a month with it up there. I guess we could say going forward, if they continue to break records and like announce like we're the most profitable we've ever been, then yeah, it could indicate that, wow, okay, they're like making way more profits off of these things than we'd realized. Because that's the thing, there's like this argument that people bring to the table. And they say Sony doesn't want to increase the price of their consoles. And a lot of people like spaz out and laugh, and go crazy at that notion because like, what are you talking about? Like, of course they want to raise the price. Of course they want more money. And it's like, well, no. Nobody, to me, this is the important part that we need to continue to identify. That I think too many people, they leave this out of the equation, but it's the most important part of the equation. It's like, yes, Sony wants more money. PlayStation wants more money. They all do. Every company wants more money, of course. Them raising the price of their consoles to achieve that end goal is practically deleterious ultimately. In the grand scheme of it. And people need to keep that in mind. Where it's like, that's not me saying Sony loves you guys and doesn't want to raise the price. Trust me. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Sony makes the bulk of their money after you buy the console. Not like literally from the console sale, but after your engagement with everything else that's on offer. That's where they make their money. Any money they've ever made from console sales is very small. So this idea that Sony's like increasing the price of these consoles to make a grand profit, like to make a handsome profit on every box sold is like, it's totally counterintuitive to their business model. And this is why we're left in such an interesting and precarious situation leading up to the PlayStation 6, because it's exactly like what it's kind of the argument here is it's like, wait, something's not adding up. Sony's pulling away from PC. They're pulling away from PC. And we're hearing reports that they're canceling PC ports. They're done expanding. They're shutting down their mobile division. They're quote unquote trimming the fat of their PlayStation studios. They're seemingly backing off of their live service efforts and going back to regular exclusivity for their consoles, true exclusivity. I think to a lot of core PlayStation players, these are things that feel like, oh, good, yeah. Like that's what we've all been used to. That's why we're here, probably, But then the wrench that's thrown into the spokes here is this idea again. Oh yeah, but it turns out the PS6 is apparently going to be like $900 or something, $800, $1,000 maybe, and that is like something there doesn't add up. Where it's like there is a possibility that Sony thinks that we can. Like, yeah, we could charge $800 to $900 for the PS6, but as long as we have like actual exclusives, like Venom, like another Astrobot, maybe The Last of Us Part 3, maybe we'll announce some games early as PS6 exclusives to get people really hyped. Maybe a new Uncharted or something, right? they might have this mentality that like, oh yeah, we can, yeah, that'll work. And I like to me, that's where I'm like, whoa, buddy, whoa, what do you? Now, when you say this could work, like to what extent? We talking like we could sell our first 10 million like that, maybe 15 million. I don't think you're going to get to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 million with that. I don't think that'll work. That's what I'm saying. There's something going on here. There's something behind the curtain that we haven't seen yet. And it could be very simple. It could just be, oh no, the PS5. Eventually we'll lower the price of the PS5. That'll be the PS6S. Or it could just be, actually we're taking the APU that's going to be in the PlayStation 6 handheld and we're making a cheaper unit. And that will literally be the PS6S. And it'll be like $500, $600. People who buy physical copies of new releases are suckers. You still need to download the game, regardless if you own the disc or not. Pure ownership doesn't exist anymore. I mean, not all the time. Most games are still on the disc, I believe. Sony's getting the price up a few months before GTA 6 comes out, so the line goes way up when the casuals finally move to PS5. It could just be that. This could be very short term. That's true too. They could just be embracing the idea of like, yes, we are going to squeeze people now for the last year because we can get away with it. It could be that, and that's dirty, but it wouldn't be totally shocking. Daniel, you're saying MG they're only making $200 at most of profit on PS5 Pro. That's a lot. That's a lot, bro. If they're making that much on a PS5 Pro sale, that's insane. I don't think it's anywhere near that high. PS6 should be priced at $1,200. Spartan, you're saying I just hope the PS6 Pro is a true near generational leap over the base console. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see as well. That's another thing, right? Like when we talk about other ways in which Sony could really win people over to justify, here's why we walked away from PC, here's why we're not doing mobile, here's why we're not trying to expand horizontally, but we're just trying to grow vertically at this point. One of the only ways I think they could do that is not only exclusives, but these games would have to look like, they would have to offer something that makes what you're playing on the PS5 look like, oh my God. Like, okay, yeah, that's a true generational leap. I don't know how that's going to be achieved. I definitely have faith in a lot of PlayStation studios to win people over in ways that I think people are downplaying right now, but I don't know. Like, can Sony show a game that looks so mind-blowingly good that people are going to be like, I will pay $800 for that? That's a tough one. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out, man. We're going to find out. Glassdoor Gamer is saying PlayStation just doubling down on their own brand. Who's their competition? PC, even the PC overlords, Microsoft, Nvidia, want PC to be a subscription service. Well, that's the thing, man, is like, I do think a lot of people tend to completely overlook the fact that Sony may not, they may actually be operating like we don't have major competition. Not in the sense that most people jump to, which is, so increase the prices. No, they might be operating as like, there's really nobody else you're going to go to. And that is where the test might be coming in, where when we talk about Sony kind of having this, depending on how you view it, either confidence or arrogance, there's a fine line between the two. Sony might be coming out here and being like, I don't know, man. Sure, an $800 console is going to be expensive. Sure, a lot of PS5 players might be hesitant to upgrade, but are you guys really going to leave to go to PC? And that's the thing. I can only speak for myself, and I'm saying, well, I'm not saying you could do whatever you want. I have my limits where I will stop spending, but I'm not going to leave to go to PC, no. So it might be this idea of just, yeah, and that's what kind of, again, another wrench thrown in the spokes here, where it's like, the Switch 2 exists, the PlayStation handheld is going to exist. People will question if a next generation leap is even possible with a PlayStation handheld being on the docket, right? But I think the reality is, man, I think the reality is Sony, they're going to have to be prepared to do whatever they need to maneuver, to be flexible, I should say, in order to make the PlayStation 6 work and to be successful. Because it's like I've said before as well, and I know it's sound like a broken record at this point, but it's like you can come out with higher prices and a more premium, I guess, approach to the reveal of the PlayStation 6 and see how that works for you. But if it falls off a cliff very quickly, where it's like, some people bought it, but this is not keeping pace with PS4, PS5 even a little bit, they can always, make changes if need be. They can say, okay, we are lowering the prices, but they got to be careful, because it's like, well, how soon do you do that? You can panic as hard as you want, but what about the people you just had pay full price? So Sony has their work cut out for them, but I think, when we go back to even like the beginning of this topic, the point is, like, it's being telegraphed behind the scenes that Sony is done with PC. Like, even the idea of them doing a launcher, them removing PS5/PC, that logo, and removing the cross-buy logo, they're done with PC, And I guess at this point, it's just a matter of seeing how the wider market responds to that. Because I think the hardcore PlayStation fans are all about this, dude. I have yet to run into somebody who really, really likes PlayStation or has spent any amount of time on PlayStation saying, no, I don't like that. I haven't seen that. Truthfully, I haven't seen that. And I've gotten a lot of responses from people. The closest thing I've seen to that is somebody maybe saying they're just indifferent to it. Yeah, guys, make sure you're hitting that like button, by the way. Thank you. We're over 100 likes. Really appreciate that. We'll see if we can get that up to 125. Definitely helps. Titus, now that's diabolical, bro. Now that's diabolical. Why Me says, I'm happy for PlayStation fans. Thank you. We're happy too. I will say, though, the only time I could find myself regretting, not necessarily regretting the idea of them going back to exclusivity, but I hope that Sony doesn't because for as much credit as I give Sony, they are a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They're a conglomerate. They're just as susceptible to making really dumb decisions, as any other corporation. And I really hope that they're not about to make some really bad decisions with the PS6. Hopefully that's not what they're going to do. Hopefully they keep it simple. I think the simpler they keep it, the better. Happy Easter, guys. I see a couple of you guys coming in wishing me a happy Easter. Yeah, thank you for taking time out of your day on this Easter Sunday to hang out with me a little bit, talk about these things. I very much appreciate it. MBG, the Sony handheld is in competition with the Switch 2 if all you play is third party on handheld. That's true, but how many people are doing that? How many people are only playing third party games through their handheld? Through their handheld. I don't think many people are. PS5 has sold more units than the Switch 1 and 2. PS5 has sold over 92. Well, no, I think that the Switch 1 has outsold the PS5. Wait, what album were you playing that was shaking? And Silent Spartan coming out of nowhere once again. He just dropped 50 membership gifts on you guys. Yo, Silent Spartan, bro. You were just here the other day. He was here on Friday. He dropped 50 for you guys. He came back. He's like, I got another 50. We need some W's in the chat for Silent Spartan, the membership monster. He returns. 50 memberships. So, yeah, guys, if you receive a membership gift, Tarnished, I'm holding out hope for you here. You've been waiting. Time to eat. If you get a membership gift, first off, thanks Silent Spartan for that. But we did a Morning with the Missus episode last week. You could go check that out. It's a different type of content. It's me and Mrs. MBG hanging out, talking to you guys. We were doing a little bit of gaming, a little bit of troubleshooting. But we'll have more coming up as well. We're going to be opening a P.O. box soon. So that way when we do these Morning with the Missus episodes, at least like once or twice a month perhaps, we'll be able to, see what anybody sent in the P.O. box and open that stuff for you guys, which I'm sure will be a good time. But yeah, Silent Spartan, thank you once again, man. Very, very generous. Really appreciate the support you guys have shown the channel. That just crushed both of our goals. I'm going to have to shake the treats. And, oh, by the way, yeah, so on my last stream, we hit our goal. And, I cap it at 100 members, and we hit the goal of 100 members. And so in return, I did a little off-camera drumming. I couldn't turn the camera for you guys to see it. And I was asking you guys, I was like, does this sound good or bad? Like, does it sound too loud? And I think everybody was like, oh, no, it sounds fine. Dude, I went back and I listened to it, and I'm like, oh, man, that's bad. It was so loud, dude. Like, my mic, the microphone picking up the drums, it was peaking the whole time. Every time I hit the snare, it sounded like an explosion was going on, like was happening. So I got to say, for those of you who said that sounded good and you appreciated my drumming, thank you. I listened back to it, though, and I'm like, dude, that sounded awful. That sounded awful, in my opinion. But, maybe we could do it again today if we hit, maybe do like a 75 goal. Let me see. Where's Shadowlink? He promised me a new drum kit. Wait, what's going on with my logos here? There we go. All right. I'll make it. If we hit 75 today, we can do some drumming at the end again, just a little bit. I want to get the audio right, damn it. But thank you guys. Yeah, we are fan funded. You guys make this possible. Really, really appreciate it. Crushed dreams. They crushed the dreams of Hanzo and Tarnished. They still didn't get member gift. Damn. Well, hang in there, guys. Hang in there. Still got plenty of streams ahead for the month of April. Poor cats, blame them. I had some bacon this morning, actually. Generic white male, a member for 23 months. He says, 1 trophy away from my 60th platinum in RE9. What a great game. That's awesome to hear. Yes, somebody, I think Michael Lynch came in earlier. Oh my God, boss, I didn't know you were up there. Michael Lynch came in earlier, said that he just beat Requiem. It took him like 22 hours. And now, Generic white male, you're saying you're 1 trophy. What's the last trophy you need? That's a great one to make your 60th platinum, though. You know what's funny, Generic white male? I have 58 platinums now, so I'm 2 away from hitting 60. All right, boss. I'll give you a few more. Not much more, though. Go ahead. Yeah, I didn't know he was up there sleeping. Hotshot, you have 58 platinums. Hanzo, you're saying you have 63. MBG Wolverine State of Play, when do you expect it? I mean, honestly, it's got to be really soon. It's got to be within the next week, maybe 1 to 3 weeks. I don't think it's going to be in May. The reason I say that is because I think they want to give Wolverine a dedicated state of play. I would be shocked if they didn't. It's insane to me to think that they give something like Ghost of Yote a dedicated state of play, which definitely deserves it as well. But that for Wolverine, they're like, nah. I think they're going to give it its own state of play. I don't think they're going to bunch it in. Or you know what they could do? You know what they could do actually? Maybe they could kind of pull off what Microsoft is doing, right? Where Microsoft does their big showcase and then they're like, stay tuned for a Gears of War Direct, or, and then before it was like Starfield and then Call of Duty. Maybe Sony could just do that where they do their big state of play for May, maybe like towards the end of May. And then at the end of it, it'll be like a 45-minute state of play, maybe an hour-long state of play. And then after that, there's like a 20-minute direct, or, yeah, I guess I don't know what they would call it, a state of play on top of a state of play. Will Saros get a state of play? Unfortunately, I don't think Saros is going to get a state of play, which I think is messed up. I think Saros should get a state of play. I think, if anything, Saros needs a state of play more than Wolverine does, because you need to show this game. You got to get it out there. So we still have plenty of time between now and the release of Saros. So we could still get a state of play, man. It's possible, but if I recall, Sony did do a state of play for Returnal, but I think they handled it differently. I think the way that they did it was they just released it. They didn't make it like a live stream. They didn't make it an event. They just put it out there. So they could maybe handle Saros the same way. They already did previews, though. So the fact that they did previews indicates to me that they may not feel the need to do one. Am I going to do a 24-hour live stream for the Saros Platinum? I'm not going to do that, no. I'll probably try to Platinum it, but doing a 24-hour stream trying to get the Platinum, nah, that sounds like torture, bro. Carl, you're saying you think you have 81 Platinums? Could have had more, but I never go for the play on hard mode trophies. I can't be bothered with all that. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, but I did Platinum Returnal. Yes. Returnal was kind of a nightmare to Platinum. And I really, really hope Saros is different, because with Returnal, it took me like 120 or 130 hours to Platinum that. And the reason being was that I needed like one glyph. You'd have to find these glyphs scattered throughout runs. And it was randomly generated. And yeah, see, A2, you're saying you gave up on the glyphs? They were no joke, dude. They were legitimately torturous. And it was totally RNG. So, yeah, I'm calm now. Exactly. Mrs. MBG knows. I was freaking out because I couldn't believe it. I was so pissed off, where I was like, what kind of collectible is this, dude? Like, I was done with this game 35 hours ago, but I couldn't give up on it. I just couldn't give up because I knew that even if I walked away, like at one point, I think I even uninstalled the game. I'm like, I'm done. And I think I reinstalled it because I'm just like, I can't walk away from this knowing that it's just this last thing I need. That's true. Yeah, Mrs. MBG is dealing with that right now in her game. Not of Returnal, but Leo, you're saying I was proud I only had 15 deaths on Returnal your first playthrough. That's actually really impressive. Yeah, for me, it was the third biome of Returnal that once I got to the third biome, I was dying over and over again. I felt like I just like couldn't progress. That was the skill check for me. I think that was the skill check for a lot of people. How that was. Ray, you have 31 platinums. That's definitely, yeah, that's good. 31 platinums. Yeah, I don't think the number of platinums is really, like, at least to me, it's not so much about the number of platinums as much as it's about like what the platinums are, Like, no offense to anybody. I mean, if you just like play nonsense games for platinums, I'm not judging you or anything. But for me, it's been, yeah, like I've always felt like any game I want to platinum, there's got to be something to it, Don't get me wrong. I do look into games sometimes to see like if I'm considering playing it, like what kind of Crimson Desert was one of those games where, like, when I found out, it's like, dude, Crimson Desert was gonna be like 300 to 400 hours of platinum. I just laughed. I'm like, no, like, no way, no chance, dude. Um, and also the fact that like the trophy names, like people didn't know what they were. Like they were so vague, nobody knew what they actually were, and stuff like that sometimes, steers me away from games occasionally. Where I'm not saying I wouldn't. To be fair, if I wanted to play Crimson Desert, I would play it, trophies or not. But sometimes, I guess what I mean to say is like sometimes trophies can act as an extra incentive. Where if I'm on the fence of playing a game where I'm not entirely sure if I'm not gonna like it or not, but the trophies are very attainable, I'll look at it as, okay, so I'll take a chance, even if I don't like the game. If I can get all the trophies, I feel like I got something out of it. It's like I got a solid platinum out of it, That makes me feel like I'm more okay with playing a game that to me would be like more mediocre or mid, something I'm not enjoying as much. But I would never not play a game due to trophies, if that makes sense. If I see a game that I really want to play, trophies or not, dude, I'm going to play it. I did not get the platinum for Alan Wake 2, actually. I did play Alan Wake 2. I did beat it. I think I have like 60 to 70% of the trophies. But for some reason with that game, I just felt I didn't want to go back and get it for some reason. I'm not sure why. I can't remember at the time why that was. But I do distinctly remember not getting the platinum. Final Fantasy Rebirth, that's the one that a lot of people talk about. Rebirth is the one that broke a lot of people. And apparently the platinum for that game is so torturous that even Square came out. The developers came out and literally apologized, saying, we won't do that again. And I'm like, that's nasty work, dude. Like when you make getting a platinum so torturous that you have to apologize to your player base, it's like, I don't know about that one. Is Crimson Desert too much? I mean, has anybody even platinumed Crimson Desert yet? The game I'm playing right now is Marathon, and I only need 7 more trophies to get the platinum for Marathon. I've played enough of it. I think I put 16, 17, maybe 18 hours into it at this point. And I've played enough of it. Like I'm not really having fun. I don't know if that's the way to describe it. Like, I mean, I have some good runs and, oh yeah, I got a lot of loot, and I made a lot of money and got a new weapon. And that's cool. It's extraction shooters are good for creating
The next
stories.
SOP, there better not be any multiplats. PS needs to start making publishers pay them money to release on PS. They want to be ignorant, oh well.
All right, Rich, now you're taking it too far. See, this is why you're not in the boardroom of Sony. PlayStation needs to start making publishers pay them money to release on PlayStation. Now that's insanity, bro. That's insanity. I don't mind there being multiplats at state. I mean, would it be awesome to get a state of play that's just purely first party? That would be sick. I'm not against that. Like a 20 to 25 minute state of play that's just first party. I'd be like, hell yeah, dude. That'd be awesome. I say that until 10 minutes of it is fair games. But for me, like when I think about the last state of play, they had a lot. Dude, I'm glad they had multiplats, bro. They announced Metal Gear Solid, the collection volume 2. They announced more Silent Hill. People were hyped. I mean, Konami had a big presence, but they announced the John Wick game. So that's the thing, man, is like you get, I get it. Having an overabundance of third party can be annoying in a sense, but to me, it's just simply a matter of if those games appeal to me or not. And I can at least say for the last state of play Sony did, a lot of those games appealed to me. A lot. Not every single one. But I remember walking away being like, bro, I'm like overwhelmed. Rich, you're crazy, bro. I can just imagine it now, Rich in the boardroom of Sony, like, let's make devs pay to put their games on PlayStation. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? The chicken game? Absolutely. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Let me see. Concord is the hardest platinum to get, and I have it. Whiskey, you're saying they basically do. What do you think that 30% of the sale is for? Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the whole thing when we talk about, PlayStation's presence as not just, a first party making exclusive games, but the importance of third party. I mean, ever since they raised the price of the consoles, people have been saying that they did it for GTA. They raised the price of the consoles because they know GTA is coming and they know everybody's going to buy a PlayStation for GTA. Anybody who hasn't is going to pay the extra money. I don't know if I believe for sure that that's the reason, but there is a kind of truth to that where I've talked to you guys before about like the thing about here's what gets me. When you look at PlayStation, I know a lot of people are snarky towards PlayStation. I know a lot of people are like, nah, PlayStation sucks. But I'm like, bro, I don't know how anybody could deny that it kind of is the place to play for a lot of people. And sure, you could say a lot of them are casuals, but that's not the point. The point is like, dude, when you buy a PS5, let's say you are that person where you were unlucky and you thought waiting till, towards the end of the generation, you'd get a cheaper console. And now you find out, let's say you're okay with going digital. It's $600. So you're paying $100 more, $200 more at that, which is still crazy to think. $200 more. But that's the thing, man, is it's like, if you go into it with the mentality of, I'm going to buy a new PlayStation 5, it's going to be $600. Games I'm getting, GTA, Wolverine, 007, Crimson Desert, Resident Evil 9, and then also going back to, you got the whole backlog to choose from now. How could, if that's your mentality, how could you not see it as worth it? You should be mad. You should be kicking yourself in the ass a little bit. It's not your fault, but I'm just saying, like, I'm upset that I could have actually saved money by just buying in earlier. Yes, that's a valid reason to be upset and mad. And I'm upset that the prices have gone up. But just putting that aside for a moment, and it's like, but why would you buy a PS5 at this point? I mean, come on, man. Like, it just sounds to me like people are downplaying just a little bit. And I'm not saying everybody could afford it either, but I think people are downplaying. They're like, dude, you buy a PlayStation 5 at this point in the generation, you have an unbelievable amount of games to choose from. And you also now are going to have access to some exclusives like Wolverine. Like, dude, I don't want to overhype Wolverine. Maybe I will a little bit though. But like, if I was a hardcore Xbox fan right now playing on Xbox Series X, and I was like going to Xbox Fan Fest and stuff, dude, I would have bought a PS5 for Wolverine. Just Wolverine. And I would have felt damn jealous that Sony has a fucking AAA Wolverine game, bro. Exclusive. I would have been jealous as hell. And I'm just being real about that. This is why I'm saying, like, that is real, bro. Like, that matters. And I'll tell you right now, if I was gaming on PC, if PC was my main platform, and I knew, wait, GTA 6 isn't launching day one on PC, I would have a PS5 Pro. I would have the moment I heard GTA 6 is not launching day one on PC, I would have bought a PS5 Pro. The day I found out. And that's why I'm just like, dude, I can't really deal with the noise, the excess noise that people bring my way. Where it's like, like I don't care. Like you want to wait for GTA, fine. You don't care about Wolverine, fine. Like, but for me, I'm like, dude, and that's not even talking about the other games, man. Like that's not even talking about something like Phantom Blade Zero. It's not talking about the Metal Gear Collection. It's not talking about Silent Hill. It's not talking about 007. It's not even talking about any of the Microsoft games that I'm looking forward to playing that they're actually bringing to PlayStation. You know? So I just think, and Kana 2, yeah, we keep forgetting about that as well. Yote Legends, even Marathon. I'm playing Marathon, you know? Not that, I mean, it's not an exclusive, but I'm just saying, like, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that I encounter too many people that I think that they say things, but I'm like, are you really taking it all into consideration? I don't think they're stupid for saying it. I don't think they're ignorant. I don't think they're even wrong per se, but it's just, are you really considering the whole picture here? Because, you know, one of the arguments that I come across more than anything is how, like, it's not even an argument. It's just a mentality. It's a statement that is reiterated many times over in many different ways. And it's that, like, you know, it's over. Like, gaming sucks now. Gaming is dying. Everything's getting worse. Everything is on fire. And that's where I just feel like people who are saying this stuff in that way, you're not looking at everything. You're not being fair about it. At least I don't think so. You know, where it's like, there is a separation of, I think, just kind of looking at these things in isolation. Like if you look at what's going on with the industry as a whole in terms of some of the turmoil and some of the brick walls, I'll just call it what it is, some of the brick walls that publishers are hitting and some of these business models are hitting. Yeah, like we absolutely should always be looking at that and aware of it. But I just think when people come to certain conclusions of like, okay, so in conclusion, it's over. And it's like, why do I get the feeling that when you're done saying that later that day, you're sitting down, you know, cracking open a cold one, let's say, or so, I don't know, whatever beverage you like to drink, and you're gaming and you're having a good old time. Doesn't, like, the point is it doesn't matter where. The point is, like, not as bad as you made it sound, huh? It's not so bad, right? There's good, and that's what makes me laugh about almost all of this all the time, is that no matter how critical people become, no matter how cynical they become, it's like, I know you're gaming. Maybe I'm being too naive there, or maybe they're not. maybe there are. I mean, I don't. Let me be realistic here. Are there people who engage in these conversations that do not play video games? Yes. Do I think there's a lot of those people? No, because that's strange behavior, and I'm not sure why anybody would do that. But generally speaking, you know, I think that, like, no matter how bad people try to paint things and make it seem, it's like there's probably still something good there that you're engaged with. And it kind of is proof, you know, that it's not as bad as you're making it sound, and it's certainly not all bad. And I just wish that more people would acknowledge that, where, you know, it's like when like if I encounter an Xbox player and they're like, you know, it's not that bad, bro. Like it, and I turn and I say, it is. It absolutely is. Kidding. But really, they're like, no, dude, it's not that bad. Like I'll give you a great example, dude. I wonder if I can find it. I saw it earlier today, and it was so funny because people were losing their minds. Oh, wait, hold on. This is trending 3 hours ago. Arc Raiders outpaces Marathon in Steam player counts. Hold on. Arc Raiders from Embark Studios launched October 30th, 2025 as a $40 third-person extraction shooter focused on co-op PvE robot battles, hitting a peak of 482,000 players and holding an 85 to 86% very positive reviews from 270,000 reviews. Marathon, Bungie's March 5th, 2026 reboot of its 1990 series, peaked at 88,000 with 86% positive marks from 33,000 reviews. But current counters hover around 23,000 amid its intense PvPvE gameplay. Discussions highlight Ark's forgiving PvE appeal for casual players versus Marathon's hardcore PvP demands, with both games praised for smooth gunplay, intense fights, and the growing extraction shooter genre. Is that true? Is that the argument that people are making? That I'm reading an AI headline, bro. Is that the argument that people are making, that Marathon's just too hardcore? Like it's not capturing, because that wouldn't be the first time I heard that. I mean, that makes sense, dude. Like, Marathon has pissed me off so bad. If I wasn't, listen, I'm going to be honest, if I wasn't still trying to just get those last trophies, I would have stopped, because I'm like, this is I mean, dude, it just makes you want to punch your screen. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie, man. I had, like, last night I was playing a couple rounds with my buddy, and I had some of the best weapons I had ever in my whole time playing the game. And I was feeling confident. I'm like, I have, maxed out shield. I'm stocked up on medical equipment. I'm ready to go. And I die within 5 minutes, and it's just over. And I'm like, dude, I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. Like, I do not want it. Like, it's a killer, man. It's a killer. Where this is why I feel like the extraction shooter genre, maybe it does need to be a little bit more forgiving, because it's stuff like that where, like, dude, if I wasn't trying to get trophies, you lost me. Like, I'm never coming back. I was so pissed. Yeah, you lose the gear, bro. Take the pain. That's the thing about extraction shooters. You lose your gear. It is too hardcore. Cryo is gated to online trios, and you can only finish it with friends. It's like Tarkov, which is also very niche. Dude, yeah, literally what I've heard about Cryo, like how it only opens on the weekends, what I've heard people say about it has literally made me go, I'm never playing that. I don't care what's available in there. I'm never playing that mode, because that just sounds not fun to me. I don't need that level of stress. Like, somebody was like, yeah, you're going to need a cigarette afterwards. I'm like, I'm good. Like, I do like a challenge in games, and I do like some intense moments, but I'm not trying to literally experience that level of stress. It's the coolest map you've ever played, Mr. B. That's what's crazy too, is like, I've heard that a lot of it is so cool, but it really is just so. I played some Outpost. Outpost is interesting. Yeah, Outpost is stressful too. Yeah. So it's no surprise people give up. You're a prime example, MBG. Yeah, exactly. But you know what I will say is, the gameplay though is really good. It really is. Like, Bungie, I'll give them this. You know, they built their reputation on having very good feeling first person, FPS gameplay. And Marathon feels fantastic in that regard. Like, in fact, it feels so good, it really makes me wish, like, and also the factions they have and the lore, I'm like, bro, you guys should just make a single player FPS, which is like a built on, basic PvP multiplayer, because this would be awesome if it was a single player game, in my opinion. But, it's not to be. I want to see if I can find this, though. I found a crazy post. Here we go. So this post is going viral. Let me see if I can bring it up for you guys. I mean, you want to talk about getting into the toxic weeds of this stuff, bro? Look at this. Not that I don't think with this person, haven't read the full extent of what this person said, but but I can only imagine the replies, man. Hopefully they'll let me bring it up. All right, so this post is going viral. It has it's sitting at 630,000 views with over 6.3K likes. This person says, I worked my ass off at work this month, and I earned a decent bonus. I haven't had a new home console since the Dreamcast in '99. Wife surprised me with a brand new Xbox Series X. I was originally going to get a PS5 Pro with my bonus, but Sony decided to raise the prices 2 days ago, and I'm just not paying $900 for a PlayStation. Absolutely not on principle. Sure, there's a few exclusive titles I want to play, but I don't care that much, to be honest. Plus, I like the Microsoft controllers significantly better, even though I have always been a PS person in the past. I really just wanted the ability to play Code Veronica and the occasional AAA title that isn't available on Switch. So a week or so after the is he implying he mains the Switch? So a week or so after the Sony announcement, I changed my mind and we agreed once we got a current gen console, we would do the Series X. It's crazy to have something new for once. We have stepped into the 21st century. PC elitists, calm down. I don't want a gaming PC. I don't care that they're objectively better and more versatile. Don't be annoying, please. Thank you. So the fact he has to say that, bro. Now to play my 25-year-old game with state-of-the-art hardware. Uh-oh, Sony. Dude, since Dreamcast, though, that's, to be honest, man, if you've been out of the game that long, but how much is a Series X? I bought this to play my Code Veronica X on my Series X. I ain't buying no PS5 Pro out of my principles. No, I mean, there's, yeah, dude. You know what I feel bad about ultimately for this guy? You know what my initial thought with this is God damn, bro. If you were able to just find a way to get that Pro just a day or two before, man, you wouldn't have had to deal with that $900 Pro. Because I can't blame anybody for looking at a $900 Pro and being like, no, thank you, man. Although it does make me wonder. Here's the alternative, though. It makes me wonder, in all seriousness, if you didn't want a Pro, but you've been with PlayStation in the past, why not just get a base PS5? That's probably the even bigger question. But man, I saw a follow-up post from this guy where he was was saying he was getting some crazy replies. Let's see. See, this is Twitter for you guys. He really effed up. No, it's fine. Listen, you want $650 for a Series X with a disc. Okay, so it's the same. So it is the same price as a PS5, right? Yeah, $650 for the disc model PS5 now. God, what the hell? You think the price on the Pro means that Sony's phasing it out for the PS6? Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of picking up on that too. But yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense either. Wait, yeah, what? Hold on, you're right. Hold on. You're saying he said, I haven't had a new home console since the Dreamcast in '99. There's a few exclusives I want to play. Where did he say? I've always been a PlayStation person in the past. Wait. Hold on. Something ain't adding up here, bro. Haven't had a new home console since the Dreamcast in 99. I've always been a PlayStation person. Best guys, I think we got engagement baited. On Twitter? No way. But he prefers the Xbox controller. Wait. Well, okay. Well, hold on. Wait. That's 100% engagement bait. Listen, maybe we really have to emphasize a new home console. So maybe he's just saying that he hasn't bought a new I mean, is the Series X even considered new at this point, bro? Uh-oh. Yeah, he's all over the place with this one. Let's go check some of the replies, though, shall we? Return it while you Return it while you still can. You don't need the Pro. A base PS5 is the same price, similar power, and it has all the Xbox games, plus PS games, plus many games that skip Xbox. You're paying the same price to get an objectively inferior product. New controller is way better, too. He says no. PC elitists, calm down. I don't want a gaming PC. I don't care that they're objectively better and more versatile. Don't be annoying, please. Thanks. Oh, you sweet summer child. One day, they will all learn. For now, enjoy the game. No, we won't. Oh, he says, no, we won't. I play old-ass games. Mainly, I won't learn anything. The last console I bought new is probably before you were born. Some of us are just 40 years old and don't care about keeping up with console wars or building a PC. I want to turn my shit on, buy a 20-year-old game, hella cheap, and play them with a controller. I don't hate. Y'all's problem is you want everyone to think like you. Oh, okay. Hold on. Maybe he's cooking here a little bit. Maybe he's cooking a little bit here, guys. They want the PC master race wants everybody to think like them. True or false? True or false? He ain't cooking shit. He's getting cooked. That's what he's getting. All right. Nice. They're great consoles. I had that and I swapped it for a PS5. I still don't think it was a good decision. Oh, wait, hold on. He swapped it for a PS5. Didn't think it was a good decision. Thanks for telling me that. I can appreciate that the PS5 has advantages, no doubt, but I think this was the right call, though. I'm not a gaming elitist. Congrats on the bonus. As a PS5 Pro owner myself, it's not worth $900 LMAO, even with the disc drive. It's 6-year-old hardware. Well, enjoy it while it lasts. You're playing on a dead brand. I know that's fine. I don't care really. All three console brands literally suck. This is crazy. Dude, this is amazing engagement bait, bro. I could learn a thing or two here. This is crazy. I don't know who this guy is. Who is this guy? Who are you? Why are you even in my house? That's crazy, man. No, it's funny, man. It's crazy to think that, like, this thing is, people are so intense about this stuff. They're so intense about this stuff that this man can't even talk about buying a Series X without. But to be fair, it's like, you don't have to post this. You don't have to post that you bought a Series X. And you certainly don't have to write a book. But this is the internet. This is the nature of the internet. You got something to say? And I know this all too well. You're going to get some responses. You're going to get some responses. Plot twist. His wife is Asha. Both Xbots and ponies are lame in there. Dude, I mean, it's too easy sometimes, you know? It's too easy sometimes. If he likes old games, then he's right. I mean, that's true. That is true. It is easier to play some older games through Xbox backwards compatibility than Sony, for sure. We have Overexposure with a super chat. He says, hi, ABG. What do you think the chances of a AAA Matrix game happening are with Keanu Reeves? It would be awesome, and I love Keanu. He's my favorite person ever. That would be awesome. I mean, I remember what were those Matrix games? There was Enter the Matrix, but then there was the Matrix Path of Neo for PlayStation 2. That game was sick. I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever do another one, man. Because ultimately, I feel like the Matrix. Well, I did read recently that apparently are they are making a Matrix 5. That is a thing, apparently. Um, whether or not they're gonna like bring Keanu Reeves back for that, and then maybe try to do some kind of AAA Matrix game, if not a tie-in, just something separate. I mean, we're getting a AAA John Wick game, so anything's possible. I mean, that's the thing. Like a modern day AAA big budget Matrix game makes total sense. Like that world is set up perfectly to make for an amazing, incredible game. But I think the Matrix as a property right now is in a pretty much a state of limbo. And the last thing they did with it was that movie in 2021, which was god awful. I mean, it was so bad that, at least in my opinion, it was so bad that it felt like it turned the first, the original Matrix trilogy into kind of a joke. So, and it was really sad to see, like, it was awesome to see Keanu return, but to see how it didn't land. I would love to see The Matrix make some kind of comeback. You never even watched that movie? Dude, you got to watch The Matrix. The Matrix is amazing. It's one of the like greatest movies of all time, dude. I'm not exaggerating that. The Matrix is incredible. Some people don't like the sequels as much. There's like two sequels. Some people really don't like it. I like all three, but there's no denying the first movie is groundbreaking. Absolutely. And it holds up today, man. That's the craziest thing about it, is it still holds up today. With everything it's trying to say. If anything, it might even be more relevant today. So I highly recommend watching The Matrix. But I enjoyed the trilogy, yeah. It had its weaknesses. Reloaded, and what was the third one called? Revolution. They had their weaknesses, but yeah, that first movie, man. So I mean, like, they are making another Matrix movie. They confirmed, but they haven't confirmed who's involved, other than the fact that I think they're getting a new director. And who knows where it'll go. I would love to see Keanu, though. I know everybody loves Keanu Reeves for, John Wick, and I do too. But for me, I always knew Keanu as Neo. That's how I always knew him. And that's where I really became a big fan of Keanu Reeves. And I loved him in The Matrix. And so I was hyped for Matrix 4 because I'm like, he's coming back. Speed as well, Hanzo. 1994's Speed. I was a huge fan of his from that too. Speed was amazing. Young Keanu with a buzz cut. Action Jackson. Speed was awesome. Dude, Keanu Reeves has been, I mean, what was that movie? He was in Point Break. He's been in some amazing movies, man. His career has been something else. But I would love to see him return as Neo in a more meaningful way, where he's not, I mean, I got to be honest, dude. Like, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that fourth Matrix movie, where it felt like, it literally felt like it felt like they kind of disrespected the first three movies, which I guess you're allowed to do that because you created them, but it's like, dude, what are we doing? Bill and Ted, yeah, dude. You're watching Speed tonight. That's okay. That's awesome. Watching Speed on Easter. That's awesome, dude. I love the film where he plays a character named John. Fun fact, I think he's played characters with the name John more than anything else. Let me look this up. How many characters has Keanu Reeves played named John? Keanu Reeves has played characters named John, Johnny, or Jonathan at least 7 to 9 times throughout his career. Roles: Johnny Utah, Point Break, 1991. Jonathan Harker, Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992. Don John, Much Ado About Nothing in 93. Johnny Mnemonic in Johnny Mnemonic, 1995. John Constantine in Constantine from 2005. John Wall in Generation I don't know what that is, from 2012. And then John Wick. And then Johnny Silverhand. I mean, at this point, his name is practically John Reeves. Featuring Keanu Reeves as John Elden Ring. Dude, did you guys see the set of Elden Ring leak? Did you see that? Oh, man. So they're doing an Elden Ring movie, and there was a set leak, and it looks actually kind of insane. It looks like it really looks like the game. I'm like, holy shit. He's nice and cool in real life, but I wouldn't mess with a guy. He's lethally just something else. Yeah, Devil's Advocate's a good one, Titus. That's a very underrated movie. Devil's Advocate. Hardly anybody talks about that movie. Keanu's been in some. Anybody ever see that movie Hardball? He's been in some random movies, bro. I think it was in another movie called like Knock Knock. He's been all over the place. All right. John Wick, the game. It's going to be amazing. That's the point. Guys, thank you so much. We hit over 125 likes. The replacements, yo, Leo Jimmy, hell yeah. The replacements, that's a good one. That's a good one. We're sitting at 127 likes. Make sure you hit that like button, guys. Let's see if we can try before the time the stream wraps up to push to hit 150 likes. I'd really appreciate that. I saw him kill 3 men in a bar with a pencil. A Walk in the Clouds. I've seen that one a long time ago. Yeah, he's been in a couple of like romance movies, as well. All right. Yeah, Seven was a great film too. That movie was crazy. Seven. He wasn't in that, but that was Brad Pitt. They don't make them like they used to, man. They don't make them like they used to. All right, what other gaming topics do we have left here? We still have a couple. Saying, I've got to admit, the day Sony goes full digital is the day I stop buying games. I can't blame you there. I want to see digital games not become the future, and I want to see physical games always have a place. Rockstar's canceled game Agent protagonist.
MBG, hey BRO, happy Easter, just came out of church. Catch me up to speed.
Well, Perfect Image, first off, thank you for the $2 direct donation. You didn't miss too much, bro. I'm not going to lie. So the only thing you really need to know of importance that you may have missed is that Sony, in the back end of the PlayStation ecosystem, they have a bunch of iconography. And in that iconography, they had a logo for PS5 and PC, as well as a cross-buy logo that was associated with it. And they removed them and they deleted them from the back end. So it seems to be further indication that Sony is more aggressively moving away from the PC side of things. And so it's not necessarily like blatant confirmation from Sony. It's not like they put out some kind of press release. But, we're continuing to monitor the situation and see what's going on. Yeah, we kind of are doing a bit of a freeform today. Like, I probably should talk a little bit about Starfield, like I said I was. Well, we did talk a little bit about Starfield in the beginning, but let me see here. Yeah, we'll probably keep it a little bit shorter today because I do have stuff to do for Easter later in the afternoon. Rich says, if we don't get 200 likes, 1 week timeouts will occur for non-likers. Yeah, so you better hit that like button. Starfield, everybody's favorite game. Well, let me bring this up. Hold on. Sorry, I didn't have it pre-prepared. But I know there's a new Starfield trailer. And I know everybody's excited. for Starfield. So here you go. The Starfield features trailer.
Now the fleet's resting on her shoulders.
We will need to disable their shields. The destination is your decision, Captain.
Well, there you go. That's the Starfield features trailer, and I mean they're going all out for it, man. It's worth noting if you are planning on playing Starfield on the PS5 Pro, they are supporting it. Now they didn't say if they're supporting PSSR 2, but they will have a 60 FPS Pro performance mode. I don't know what it's going to look like, but there you go. Rich Roddy, you're going to throw up. You and Ghetto God are going to throw up. The Starfield hate, bro. It's real. That's implied. Yeah, you would assume if they're going to support PSSR, you would assume they're supporting the latest one. We need a palette cleanser after that.
Been fighting longer than I can remember. I'd like to say I'm not a violent man. The trouble just has a way of finding me. But I'd be lying. Doesn't matter where I go. How far I run. Death's always waiting. Just not for me. Because I ain't no hero. I'm Wolverine.
Well, man. I really hope we get that Wolverine stand play soon, bro. Shit looks amazing. It really does. I'm so hyped for Wolverine, man. Delwyn's hype. He's like absolute cinema, bro. I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait. Let's see here. And just for the sake of getting hyped again, why not?
What you doing up there?
I'm just fixing some leaks.
Seriously, dude, you got some time on your hands. I got some properties with paying tenants.
Oh, that's why you came by?
Just go get me my checks.
See you, Brian. Love you, Jason.
Sony going to collect their money from devs publishing on the platform. That transition to the slap gets me every time, dude. It's so funny.
Girl, that crackhead down at 24/7. Walking to myself.
So, God, man, I can't like watch the GTA 6 trailer. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get copyrighted for this segment. I'll have to cut it out. I like can't watch the GTA trailer because every time I do, I'm reminded that this is not like in-engine or there's no smoke and mirrors. Like this is literally what the game's gonna look like. This is what it looks like running on a PS5. And like the more you just kind of, and you guys are seeing it super compressed, like double compressed. Mute the music. It's not even the music that gives me a copyright. It's just Take-Two Interactive. It's just Take-Two Interactive. It's fine. I'll just cut this part out in post. But that's the part that blows my mind every time I watch this trailer is I keep thinking to myself, like, it's not going to look this good. And unless it suffers some kind of massive downgrade, which I don't think is the case. I don't know, man. I mean, if you really just look at the details that this game is offering, it is on another level, man.
I'm here for Lucia Caminos. She's supposed to be getting out.
What's your name?
Jason Duval.
I seen you here before.
You might have.
Today, we got more guns than the law allows.
Hey.
Man, we should be like 1 month away from this. We're not ready for it, man. We're not ready for it. I'll tell you. We think we're ready. Everybody thinks they're ready. We're not ready. And that was the last trailer. That's the last we saw of GTA, man. So we got it. Listen, we got to be close to getting more GTA soon. We got to be close, bro. What are we going to do? What are we going to do when this game comes out? Makes Wolverine look like a bargain bin game. God damn. Imagine saying you're going to wait for this. I'm just being real, bro. Imagine saying you're going to wait. So I guess this is right where. Oh, man. I can't wait, dude. All right. Again, that was all captured on a base PS5, dude. So I don't know what they're doing over there at Rockstar, but clearly they're wizards and they're doing something. They're doing some kind of black magic or something to pull this off. I don't know how they're doing all this on a base PS5. You will double dip. Many people will. Yeah. Many people will. The Rage engine. Yeah, apparently it costs like $4 to $5 billion to develop this game, dude. I'm really curious about the story too with these two. Like the whole thing with this trailer they showed is like everything seems a little too good. You know? Like they're like a Bonnie and Clyde type couple. But they didn't show like necessarily anything bad happening per se. Maybe them getting into a couple of tight spots, but I'm curious about the story. I mean, yeah, even if it's at 30 FPS at this level of detail, dude. My God, it looks so fucking good. It looks so good. I want to play this in VR. Oh, man. Think she'll get him killed in the end? Maybe some kind of betrayal? I think a lot of people are assuming there might be some kind of betrayal. Again, man, I just love the idea that this is all just happening in real time. Like, this is just what the game's going to look like. Straight up. Yeah, it's going to be next level, man. So I saw the GTA trailer there. I'm like, well, any opportunity I have, why not? Let me get that out of here, though. You want to play it on the PS6 handheld? Yeah, watch GTA 6 be the only game that can't be played on the upcoming PlayStation handheld. It's going to be too demanding. It's too much. Stop torturing us. I'm sorry. I apologize. All right, let me bring this back here. All right, let me come back to the studio here. I mean, there's no doubt this game's going to come to PlayStation 6. My guess is it'll probably come to PS6 maybe a year and a half later, maybe 2. I mean, if they want to take their good old time with it. Then again, Red Dead Redemption 2. How have they not brought Red Dead Redemption 2 to PS5? Stream it? Oh, when it comes out, I'm going to stream it. Yeah. GTA? Absolutely. I'd like to say I'm not a violent man. It'll get high-end PC settings on the PS6. Yeah, I mean, again, it just kind of calls into question, like, how much better can it get? I mean, I am of the belief that GTA 6, when it comes out, it's going to be so cutting edge. There's not going to really be anything else to go up against it for many, many years to come. And so I think that when we ultimately do eventually get the PS6 version and, the PC version of GTA 6, it's going to be like the top dog for years. Maybe until I don't know, something like The Witcher 4, possibly, but even then, I don't know, man. Rockstar is doing something. They're just on another level. Yeah, we're going to get GTA 6 with DLSS 5. I mean, listen, man, if you go to, if you look up just GTA mods for GTA 5, there's stuff that's so crazy. It's like, dude, this is like even beyond what you're seeing with something like DLSS 5. So people will be all over that for GTA 6. Imagine that game we just saw fully path traced. We're not ready. Oh, oof. Yeah, man. The Elder Scrolls 6 or GTA 7 could rival it, maybe. Why do I feel like GTA 7 will be out before the Elder Scrolls 6? Can MBG get a copyright strike? I don't know. I can't get a strike for it. I'll get a claim. I get copyright claims sometimes, and they're not that big of a deal. It's just anything that gets copyright claimed, I usually have to cut out, though. Believe it or not, like, yeah, playing the GTA trailer, even if I were to mute it, it would still get copyright claimed. They want my monetization, yeah. Which is crazy, like, I mean, I get it, but I kind of don't. I do and I don't. It's like, bro, come on. Cut me some slack, Rockstar. Give me a break, Take-Two. All right, let's see. So we're hitting the 2.5 hour mark, guys, and you're doing great today. Thank you so much. We're at 144 likes, 6 more, and we hit 150. I really appreciate it. We've been doing good with support today too. So I think what we'll do is maybe we'll go for like another half hour. I think 3:00 will be a good place to wrap it up. Maybe we could just kind of do we could talk about random gaming related stuff. Maybe I could find videos potentially to react to. Well, we could go in a couple different directions. Well, you see, I'm not entirely satisfied with your performance lately. I'm afraid your work's been slipping, and, well, afraid I've been thinking about letting you go. Damn, dude. Mr. Veggie. going on, bro? Xbox news? Is there any?
Part 1 MBG. This my opinion in the level of understanding of software and hardware. This might hurt PPL feelings, but hardware can't reach so software.
Yo, Perfect Image is about to hurt some PPL feelings. Watch out. Watch out. He's gonna hurt. He might hurt your feelings. Leo, you're working on the next track, bro. Nice, dude. Yeah, you have to let me know when it's finished up, man. I don't think there's any Xbox news, by the way. Not that I'm aware of. Let me see. You got the remix. Hold on. Okay, see, now it's trending. PlayStation removes cross-buy and PC icons from the back end. I have no idea how anyone can be optimistic about the current future of console gaming when the base PS5 is now 650 USD and the PS5 Pro without it, even a disc drive, is 900 USD. Oh, I know what I want to talk to you guys about. Here we go. Here we go. You guys are going to like this. I knew there was something I was forgetting. I'm like, there's something I wanted to show you guys, but I forgot what it was. But see if I can bring it up here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You guys read that headline? Sony. What are you going to do? Hold on, I just switched to my studio. I need to move this to a new window. What the hell just happened? Why is it glitch? Okay, there we go. I'm like, why is it showing my studio? Damn Streamlabs messing me up. Sean Mitchell, a member for 35 months. Thank you for that long time support, Sean. You're saying, what's up, MBG? Not had a chance to catch streams recently. What are you playing right now? We really are eating good. Swaying towards Pragmata for the next game. Right now, at this current moment, I'm playing Marathon. I have 7 more trophies to unlock to get the platinum. It's just that a couple of them are very grindy. So I'm trying to just grind it out to get that platinum. I got the platinum for Power Rangers Rita's Rewind a couple days ago. And the next game in line after Marathon is Mouse PI for Hire, and then maybe Pragmata. But then Soros, obviously. So it's quite a bit.
Part 2 software is going to reach graphics and hardware won't compete. That's why Sony new SDK will be better than ever. PS3 SDK still in the works.
Yeah, Perfect Image, you're not wrong about that. That seems to be the major step change. That seems to be the major consensus. That as we progress, raw hardware has kind of reached a certain limitation that software, through things like machine learning and AI, it'll be able to achieve things that, frankly, I guess just won't be, like you're saying, like, won't be possible. There's just raw hardware alone. And this is what's going to be, I think, so interesting to see. I mean, obviously we look at PlayStation. Like, we're interested in things like PSSR 3. We're interested in Project Amethyst and all these different things that Sony and their engineering team is collaborating with AMD and their engineering team, what they come up with. But even beyond that, with things like DLSS 5 and seeing NVIDIA and what they do, and it's getting interesting. Certainly, man. State of Decay 3 Discord reviews are glowing. Really? Did we get any gameplay yet? I'd love to hear that though, man. I am very excited for State of Decay 3. People are gonna be surprised at how hyped I am for this Xbox game, bro. This is an Xbox game that I want day one on PlayStation. You're saying, have you thought about dipping your toes in the Marathon? I did, Sean. I'm I think I'm ranked like 25 right now. I think I have about like 18 hours, anywhere between 16 and 18 hours in it. No gameplay yet. Yeah, I'm assuming they can't show gameplay. Oh, Sean, you're saying you've been tempted. Yeah, I mean, I won't lie to you, Sean. It's definitely hardcore, man. Like I was just telling my chat like a half hour ago how last night I had a couple of rounds that were bad. I honestly I had like 10 rounds in a row where I just died like within 10 minutes. And I lost everything. Like I had nothing. And I was just like, dude, this sucks. Like I don't want to play this anymore. And the only thing pushing me to keep playing is that I just want to get those trophies. But there's a chance I may give up on it. I mean, it's a long grind, dude. But there's that part of me that's like, if I came this far, I may as well just see it through to the end. I'm really happy to hear that State of Decay is getting positive feedback, though, from people who played it. Oh, man. I hope Undead Labs can pull it off, dude. I hope they can. How do you like Marathon? Are you doing the events on the maps? I do a couple of them, yeah. But right now, I'm just mainly focused on trying to figure out how much of a grind it's going to be. Like, I need to get to level 100. That's going to by far be the longest one. I need to continue to upgrade the factions and do the capstones and all that stuff. So, still got a little ways to go. Got to loot 777 boxes, which is like, okay. So I'm assuming if I just keep playing, Mr. B, you're saying you're level 78. How long did it take you to get to 78? How many hours have you played? In regards to State of Decay 3, you're saying everyone says it looks good and is super fun. Did anybody say what platform they're playing it on? Did they announce platforms yet for the alpha? I hope some gameplay leaks, man. I want to see it. I want to play it. Focus on the contracts. Fastest way to progress. Okay. All right. Well, luckily I have been doing that. You think Arc is getting worse for that too? Updates have been abysmal, and folk are just demons at PvP now. Yeah, Perfect Image. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. The live action set for Elden Ring leaked, and it looks good. It looks good, man. All right. Marathon has very low lows, but high highs. Oh, man. The highs are an absolute dopamine rush. I mean, dude, I last night, I took out this person in this group. And I almost felt bad. Like, they had so much shit, dude. I've never seen somebody with this loaded. And I took it all. And they like went to go hide in some kind of like corner to die. And I almost missed their bag. But yeah, I like totally felt like, wow, man, I hit the jackpot. There was a new Hiroki Totoki interview. I'm not sure if it's on YouTube. I think we'll check that out too. Maybe. Yeah, you're right. You're right. We did cover that in my video today a little bit. Oh shit, I didn't know you sent your stream to shorts. Yeah, I mean, it gives me the option to automatically integrate it, so I figured why not? I don't think it can hurt. It doesn't seem like it's doing anything though. I'll be honest. But I hear you, Release the Kraken. I hear you, bro. Also, take a break, dude. Marathon can be so brutal. Definitely a hardcore shooter. Yeah. I played it a lot yesterday, and yeah, man, I had to take a break. I'm like, okay. I thought I was just going to grind all day. I'm like, no, not all day. But my goal truthfully, is like I really want to try to finish up Platinuming Marathon before Mouse PI for Hire comes out. Like, I don't want to be worried about trying to platinum this game when other games come out that I'm looking forward to play. But it would be okay if the only thing I have to do is just level up. If that's the only trophy I have left, that's cool. You know, I could just play a couple rounds a night till I get it over time. Not a big deal. I will say, though, I don't know if I'm playing with PC players or not. I have to check that. Because sometimes I just get instantly melted. You didn't even know? I was just scrolling shorts and there you were. That must have been a surprise, Dillo. That must have been a surprise. You'll play it all weekend and not touch it all week? Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Yes, it is that kind of game. Just beat High on Life and ordered the Quarry and Alan Wake 2. Quarry will be here tomorrow. All right. Does Hiroki Totoki play games? Yeah, probably not. Check this out, though. Check this out. Look at this article from PC Gamer. PC Gamer says, I bought a PS5 on launch day, but I won't be buying a PlayStation 6, even though its exclusives are not coming to PC anymore. Huh? What? This is what I mean. It's like, this to me is why Sony is doing what they're doing. Because of people like this. Where Sony is literally like, we don't care. Yeah, well, you don't care about our games. This is crazy to me. But let me read. Hold on, let me open it in a new window. So it says, before joining the hardware team here, I spent a significant chunk of my early career writing for official PlayStation Magazine UK, and not even I am excited for the next Sony console. When I pre-ordered my PS5 back in 2020, I never once... Oh, hold on, gotta pop up. When I pre-ordered my PS5 back in 2020, I never once considered I was actually getting a good deal at the time. For context, I'm UK-based, and I love my Blu-rays, so I paid £450 for the basic version of the PS5 with the disc drive back in late 2020. But since then, the PS5 has gone up in price not once, not twice, but 3 times since launch. If you want to buy the same basic PS5 I have today, it'll cost you £650. That a console, or any aging hardware really, would get more expensive with the amount of distance from launch is kind of unprecedented. For perspective, the basic PS4 cost $400 back in 2013, or they said £349, and they say they paid £279 for the 1 terabyte model in late 2017. With runaway pricing like the PS5s, it's hard not to wonder what the point of the console is even is anymore. Hold on. There's another article. I'm seeing a headline here that's interesting. It says Microsoft's Project Helix sounds like it could be better for gamers than the Series X, but in a way that is worse for Xbox. Okay. Anyway, the article continues saying the memory supply crisis is in part to blame for the PS5's rising price tag. Sony is apparently considering pushing back the release of the PS6 until 2028 or even 2029 due to rampant AI demand for memory, according to Bloomberg. While that gives me some time to save my pennies, I doubt I'll be getting the next PlayStation at launch day or otherwise. For a long time, console gaming genuinely seemed like the most cost-effective way for me to play all the games I wanted at decent fidelity. That relative affordability is one reason I stuck with console gaming for so long and resisted getting back into PC gaming until relatively recently. That isn't to say I'm under any illusion that PC gaming is even more slightly affordable. It's absolutely a point of despair for me that some folks are fully spending much more than $650 on their GPU alone. If the PS6 comes out with mouthwatering specs at a price point of, say, $800 or likely more, that may well be the cost-effective option for someone who doesn't already own a gaming PC. Still, now more than ever perhaps before, it feels particularly difficult to justify the expense of such an expensive separate box for games, plus about $70 each for major release. I then want to play on top. At least on PC, I can answer emails too, I guess. Gaming. Oh, man. Gaming has always been an expensive hobby, and that's true now more than ever. But even on a severely underpowered PC, there's still a wealth of games to enjoy. A severely underpowered... Okay. Is the PS5 you bought more powerful than your severely underpowered PC? A significant drawback on going all in on PC is cutting myself off from PlayStation exclusive games, as Sony recently backpedaled from bringing headliner acts like Ghost of Yotei to PC. It's not hard to understand the reasoning behind this move, as exclusive games like this would have been a hardware seller once upon a time. Ghost of Yotei itself builds on everything that made Ghost of Tsushima razor sharp samurai epic, but it's also another massive game with cinematic aspirations. Hold on. It says here, huge open worlds have become PlayStation's bread and butter, considering brand new games increasingly cost upwards of $60. I see the argument for getting your money's worth. Unfortunately, having played a whole lot of them, I've simply fallen out of love with the sort of big budget efforts that have come to dominate the console landscape. In other words, I've got big game burnout. For a long time, many games have been focused on creating these infinitely replayable, high retention, forever experiences. Either blah, blah, blah. Case in point, I really dug Night Signal Entertainment's offbeat, supernatural customer service sim, house safety hotline. So let me get so the person who's getting, all right, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, so you're getting into these weird sim games, house safety hotline, and you're also finding yourself moving the PC. Is that a coincidence? Answering emails. I'll take 2. All right, hold on. I'm gonna keep going though. I don't think there's much left. Like many of the games I played, finished, and enjoyed on PC lately, it's a focused experience, costing much less than $20 on Steam. If you're looking for a few more self-contained games costing close to $15, I'd also recommend the original Perfect Tides. Like what? But what? Wait, hold on. Is the implication that you can't buy $20 to $15 games on Steam on PlayStation? This is weird, bro. This is what I mean. It's stuff like this where it's like, what are you even talking about? It's the mental gymnastics involved with trying to convince not only this person seemingly trying to convince themselves, but others that like, yeah, PlayStation just ain't going to be worth it, man. It's like, to who? To who? Like, it's just, where is the only good point I've read so far in this article, and this is a good point, is they said, you know, if the PlayStation 6 comes in at, say, $800, is the console losing its actual identity of what it's supposed to be, which is a more affordable way into high fidelity gaming? And that's fair. Like, but outside of that, everything else is just like, what do you're talking about buying these little games for 15 or 20 bucks, but then making it seem like that's some kind of major advantage PC has. Like, no, you can do that exact same thing on practically every platform, not just PlayStation. So that's also like, what are we That's what you're going to PC gaming for? Okay, I don't know. This person doesn't even sound like they don't even sound like they know why exactly they're sticking to PC gaming. I could check emails, I guess. All right. So it says, heck, even Resident Evil Requiem is under 10 hours long and lends itself well to multiple increasingly overpowered playthroughs. Unfortunately, at $60, it's the most expensive in my recent rotation. It's also the game most recently that has justified my continued ownership of a PS5, as I happen to play it on console. It's Resident Evil, man. Ain't no way I'm playing anything other than a PlayStation. What? I've been baited. Wait, whoa, hold on. It continues. Besides maybe the PS5 Pro's PSSR upscaling and uncovering the mystery of who exactly Leon S. Kennedy is married to, there's little about PlayStation's future that truly excites me. I've been banned. Wait, what is happening? So let me get this straight. When Resident Evil 10 comes out, day one PS6. Absolutely. Day one PS6. Wait, hold on. They just said that they have big game burnout and they're tired. They're tired of these like overly cinematic or whatever. I'm not trying to put words onto the article, but basically saying that big game burnout and they kind of have fallen away from the type of games that Sony makes these days. But I'm like, dude, that's what Resident Evil is. Resident Evil leaned into that harder than ever before. And you bought it on PlayStation. I feel like I've been trolled, bro. I'm getting trolled by PC Gamer. PC and PS Gamer. Oh, I wasn't expecting this one. Hold on. When it comes to consoles, Nintendo appears to be the sole entity that still sort of understands the assignment, just in terms of price. You can pick up a Switch 2 for $450, though this console will likely also see a price hike before long. That's also without mentioning how Nintendo games tend to retain their value over time, or the fact that I'm currently considering pre-ordering a $60 Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream. I've decided the demo is just that good. Our Ted has already made the case for the Switch 2, how it looks like every other console now, a worse PC with few exclusive games. What? What, dude? What's up with these guys at PC Gamer? PS Gamer Outlet, when MBG sued. The Switch 2 is just an underpowered PC with exclusives. Like, what, bro? What's that called? Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, PC Gamer. This is some funny shit, dude. I'm not gonna lie. This article, they had me in the first half. This shit's good. This shit's good though. Well, and we got the final paragraph here. While I'll concede it's not reinventing the original Switch wheel, that hybrid design still offers something PC has yet to fully crack. Sure, you can dock the Steam Deck, but it's not really as elegant an experience, though I'll grant you there's nothing elegant about the enduring specter of Joy-Con drift. On the subject of exclusives, Pocopia has become something of a system seller for the Switch 2, and having spent 25 hours with it myself, I can absolutely see why. Despite having written for PlayStation publications for a huge chunk of my career, it's the Nintendo console I'm currently reaching for. How's that for words I never thought I'd write? Dude, bravo. Amazing. An amazing write-up. Like, I'm going to tell you why I ain't getting a PS6, even though it's going to have exclusives. I'm like, oh, okay, PC Gamer. I'm going to tell you that I can check my emails when I'm playing my $20 Steam games. It's like, oh, okay. And you know what? I did buy Resident Evil for PS5. Because it's Resident Evil, son. It's like, oh, okay. And you know what else? I'm playing my Switch 2 more than anything because I bought Pocopia. It's awesome. That's awesome. I misjudged this PC Gamer article, I have to admit. When I first came across it, I misjudged it. That's some funny shit. Sean Mitchell with a 10-pound super chat. Thank you, Sean. He says, these people are always point the finger at Sony that they are stealing exclusives from them, but it really ain't that deep. Just say you're not in the PlayStation ecosystem, man. It's cool. Yeah, right? They stole my exclusives. They're stealing. They took my games. They took my games, Sean. Nah, I agree. Like, dude, I got to show you guys this. Look. So I quoted this and I said, oh no, you hear that, Sony? And I know I'm being snarky here, and I expected to get some snarky replies, but look, This person, see this right here, I need to highlight this right here. This reply. Sony doesn't release that many games, so you're not missing out on much. Let's dive into the weeds, guys. We're at the like tail end of our stream. Let's just get into the weeds. I said Saros, Wolverine, and Marvel Tokon, 3 AAA games within 5 months time frame. That's pretty great output for any publisher. For literally any publisher in the industry, that's good to great output. Okay? So I said you are wrong. What I think you mean to say is you don't like their games, and that speaks to what you're saying, Sean. Right? Look at how one of these is not developed by a Sony studio, and after 3 straight years of one game release, they should have something more. See, do you see what I'm saying? Like, people will just say these things, dude. This is what makes Twitter truly the king of just not only misinformation, but just like total brain rot of like this person, Viper XT, like the only thing he said here that was right is that Marvel Tokon isn't developed by a first party developer. But everything beyond that, it's like, dude, you are beyond wrong, and you're just saying it. Okay, you're dude. At this point, it's entertaining. You know, it's like I'm not even. You don't have to say anything to me, but they say things. This person says, it's okay if people don't agree with you. PS first-party single-player output has been abysmal this generation, and it can't even be denied. PS4 had more than double the exclusives by this time in its life cycle. And I've always been okay with that. I've always been okay with people being like, Sony hasn't made enough exclusives for my liking. I've always been okay with that. I remember when they used to say this about Xbox. Yeah, but the difference was it was true for Xbox. Well, all right, let me walk that back. It wasn't completely true. I've always said that one of the worst things people did during the Xbox One and PS4 generation was tell Xbox you have no games. To say they have no games. Because I think this really got in Phil's head, and this is why he went on a spending spree. What people needed to say so as not to confuse Microsoft, to give them real feedback, which is what I was saying to them. I was saying this to Xbox when I was on Xbox, when I wasn't on Xbox. You need to make better games. You need to up your game, literally. Like games like Recore and, Sea of Thieves launching with no content. Games like Quantum Break, where Remedy should have had a banger, but somehow just made a mid-game. Like, this is just where it's like, you gotta nail it down, because Sony's out here about to put their boot on your throat with games like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Bloodborne, Spider-Man, and the list, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2. And you gotta have something. You gotta have something to offer that can even remotely. And that's the whole thing that I think got so confused during the Xbox One and PS4 day, is that like people were sending Microsoft the wrong message, and that like you literally do have games, but they're not, like, they're literally mediocre games. I mean, literally, objectively. Like, if you look at the consistency of just the low scores and how most people are like, bro, this. It's okay to decent, Like, even for me, I remember when State of Decay 2 came out, I loved that game, but people were like, this is mid. This is mid. And I had to kind of accept, like, well, I guess this ain't going to do shit for Xbox, That's why I have so much hope for State of Decay 3. But, well, no, but see, that's the thing. I get where you're coming from. You're like, that's what PlayStation fans are saying now. But see, this is where nuance, just like the nuance is required. You can't say Xbox has no games. You need to let them know what's wrong with the games that they're releasing. I think that a lot of the things that people are pointing out for PS5 games right now are just like, what crack pipe are you smoking? I'm sorry, but I'm really though. It's like, Sony, you need to make better games. And I'm like, bro, what looks bad about Saros? What looks mid about Saros? And it's like, if somebody were to be like, it just don't look that good to me, MBG. I'm like, okay. How about Marvel Tokon? I'm not in the fighting games, MBG. It's like, okay. Wolverine. I ain't into Wolverine. It's like, I don't know. Then what the, yeah, I guess at that point, I too will turn to Sony and be like, Sony, bro, Xbot2449 over here. He doesn't like anything you're making, so you got to make, I don't know. Like, what do they, what, another Jack and Daxter. There you go. Boom. Another Jack and Daxter. Gaming Survivor says, yo, special guest appearance. He's like, I can't help myself. Dude, I just noticed your profile picture, by the way. That's awesome. We'll see. I don't know, maybe a remod in the future. Maybe. For Gaming Survivor, if he wants it. Maybe. It's getting crazy out here. I saw the Totokism interview. Thought I need to visit MBG. Yeah, I think I'm going to bring that up next. That'll maybe be the last thing we wrap up with. But we need not heavy rain, heavy rain. We need heavy rain. Uncharted. No, and that's the thing. Like, I appreciate people giving feedback. We should be giving feedback to Sony. Like, people who say, like, Sony, you need to make this or you need to make that. I'm like, absolutely. Like, yeah, Sony, please make more games. I'm not against making more games. Make different games. Variety is the spice of life. Absolutely. I just can't stand when people are like, man, Saros, Marvel Tokon, and Wolverine. I ain't interested in none of that. Then I gotta ask, what the fuck do you, like, what are you interested in, bro? Because I don't, like, what is somebody gonna be like, I want something like a Val, bro. Like, are you sure? But it's there. But I get it. If somebody were to say, to be fair, if somebody were to say, hey, Sony, I want you to make like a really deep fantasy RPG. I want that from one of your first parties. Okay. Yeah, like that, I can get behind that. Like, yeah, that's Sony. Maybe you should consider doing something like that. That's fair. Zanarcan with a $5 chat says, MBG explained the podcast headline. Sony deleting PC from PS5? PlayStation Studios' next game from Steam delisted next? I don't know, Zanarcan. They haven't delisted it yet. Sorry if my title's a little bit confusing. To explain it to you, Zanarcan, basically, in the back end of the PS5, Sony has a bunch of iconography. And they had two icons that were discovered a couple months ago that people were like, oh, okay, they're making a PC launcher and they're going day and date on PC with cross-buy. Those icons were PS5/PC and cross-buy, and they were, put together. It was just discovered the other day that Sony deleted these and removed them from the back end. So it's further confirmation, Zanarcan, while it doesn't indicate they have any intention of delisting games from Steam, I still don't think they're going to do that. This doesn't confirm that. It is further indication, though, that they are definitely moving away from PC. They're getting away from PC, and they're getting a little bit more aggressive with the stuff they're doing on the back end to kind of make that clear. So, yeah, Zanarcan, I know you were thinking about, like, should I panic buy some of these games on Steam? I wouldn't say you have to yet, but, I still don't think Sony's going to delist them, man. That would be weird to me. Let's see what else we got here. A lot of people who have PCs used to buy consoles for exclusives share the same sentiment after the price hikes. You fail to see the long-term implications of these prices. People won't double dip anymore. Something that actually used to push their bottom line. Well, I mean, that's a fair response. I do see the long-term implications, though. To be fair, I do see the I do see the implications of how this could go wrong for Sony, depending on the pricing. But you know, again, I'm looking at Twitter. All right, let's bring up Mr. Totoki, a rare public appearance. English, a little bit of English for. Sorry. All right. I can't help myself. I cannot help myself. All right. Where is my YouTube? Hold on. Damn it. Wait. Where is this Totoki video? I had it. Now it's gone. Everything, dude, nothing ever works. Oh, here it is. I'm going to get a new soundbite, bro. I'm going to get a new Totoki soundbite. Totoki mentions MBG. Yeah, I'll be like, MBG. Why are you gay? Well, that's that's not Japanese. Yeah, I'm sure that's what this interview is about. They gotta figure some stuff out here. All right, let me move over here. Marvel Tokon. Bruh. MBG, I swear your channel convinced them. Yeah, how funny would that be? That's what did it. Hideaki Nishino was like, I just got done watching the latest episode of Press X podcast. MBG does make a couple of pretty good points. I think I need to take this to the board. Could you imagine? You know, next thing, dude, you know how you'll know? Listen, if Horizon Hunters Gathering gets canceled, don't say I never did anything for you guys, all right? Don't say I never did anything for you guys. All right, let's see. I don't know what the audio level of this is going to be like. And we have a super chat from Zanarkan. Thank you, man. Saying, MBG, happy Easter to you and your family. Hope you're having a great Easter, man. And thanks for the explanation. Thanks. Happy Easter to you as well. And yes, happy Easter to everybody out there who's celebrating. I hope you guys are having a good time. I still wanted to make sure to do a Sunday stream for you guys. It's been an interesting one. And before we check this out, yeah, if you guys want to support the channel, like I said, consider becoming a member or donating a super chat, direct donations. We are sitting at 50 members. Silent Spartan dropped a 50 on you guys. I will say we do have a little bit of time. It's up to you. If you want to push to get to the 75, I'll do a little bit of drumming, a little bit of Easter drumming, hopefully with better volume, because last time I did it, every time I hit the snare drum, it sounded like an explosion, which is too extreme. So we'll see where we end. But we'll be. What time is it? We have a little bit of time. A little bit longer. Let's check this out.
Sony had already got a great reputation in the area of consumer electronics, but at the same time, digitalization has happened, and things move from the analog to digital in terms of the technology, and in digital era, generally, it's.
Okay, hold on. I'm not trying to be rude, Mr. Totoki, but I need to. There's some things he's saying I genuinely don't know what words he's saying. Hold on. I hope this works.
Particularly different from the difficult to differentiate the products from the others in the area of the consumer electronics, and then it's really difficult to compete with the other players, and that environment invite new entrant to the industry, first from Korea and followed by China, And particularly China, as you understand, they have enormous domestic market. Backed by that market, they try to export their products. The consumer electronics area now need a massive scale, and competition field comes to volume and price. And unfortunately, it's very hard to maintain that volume in a Sony group.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even know Hiroki Totoki spoke English, bro. Like, I'm actually impressed. I didn't even know he spoke English. So I think what he was just explaining there is, yeah, how Sony is they've been transitioning for a couple of years now away from being more of an electronics focused company to more of an entertainment company. It's interesting what he's saying about China and Korea entering the electronics sector, and basically what he's admitting is that Sony has failed to compete with them in terms of being able to scale. And they've just been beat out. This is why Sony, I saw somebody in my comments today, they were like, I wish Sony still made TVs. And like, they are. It's just they now had to partner, basically. They had to like spin it off and partner up with TCL to hit that higher scale that they just weren't able to maintain. Sony basically tried to hold on to the high-end premium market of the TV sector, and they were struggling to hold on to that. And I think less and less people were buying these really premium TVs. So hopefully they don't make that same mistake with PlayStation, bro. Very different, though. Very, very different. Can't really compare that because, Sony in the TV sector, they're going up against like 7, 8, 9 other competitors. In the console space, they have like 2 competitors, one of which is really not even competing anymore. So very different situation overall.
How does the Sony transformation fit together with the broader transformation? Does it affect how you're transforming Sony, that the entire industry is changing?
We forced to change because, when I came back from a subsidiary to headquarters, and that was 2013, that was a very severe time, and the financial performance is very bad, and many good people were left company.
It's been a big change for Sony to branch out from its traditional position in consumer electronics, but it's already well into that transition. Around a decade ago, entertainment made up only 30% of its revenue. By 2024, it had grown to 60% of the company.
Let's talk about the creative side. As I understand it, it's more than half of the business for Sony at this point. What are the component parts of that you rely on?
That's including game and the music and motion pictures. And 3D's entertainment business earn more than 60% of revenue now.
And of those 3, which is the largest one? Is it gaming?
Gaming, yeah.
Gaming. So tell me.
See, that's such a big deal, man. Like this right here is what I'm so glad we decided to watch this before we wrap up the stream, because like this is why people I just don't think understand. They just don't understand. Where like I get it from the outside looking in, but when you listen to something like this, people are like, Sony doesn't know what they're doing. Sony's pricing out consumers. Sony's this, and that. And it's like, bro, listen to what he just said. 60% of all of Sony's revenue is now coming from entertainment, the entertainment business side. And he straight up confirms by far the biggest aspect of that is gaming. But yet people talk as if Sony should be in this like tight, like they're in this tightrope position and they should be walking on eggshells. It's like, no, dude, they let them do what they're gonna do. They have they have experience. They know what they're doing. If they believe that pulling back and going back to, meanwhile, dude is cutting costs on the PS side. I mean, yeah, there is a reality to that too. Hiroki Totoki he comes from the CFO position. So he's definitely the guy that's like, I don't know about that one, man. I think they got to go. How much are we spending on that? He's definitely the penny pincher there. But I'm not saying this to defend price hikes. I'm just simply saying that, like, if they're like, let's see what happens, because they're in this position where, again, it's not even really about the pricing. I mean, it is for now. We'll see when we get to the launch of the PS6. But what I'm trying to say is that this idea that them going back to exclusives and them just kind of like focusing on their own ecosystem, I'm like, bro, gaming, he just said it, gaming by far makes the most money of all their different sectors. In other words, it turns out they know what the fuck they're doing. They've known what they're doing for multiple decades and generations. Why would they listen to some dude on the internet? Myself included, but why'd they listen to some random detractor on the internet being like, I ain't buying no PS. Like, I don't think Sony's worried about whether you're buying a PS6, bro. Something tells me and tells them you probably weren't going to buy it to begin with. I don't know. I'm just saying people out here talking like gaming isn't Sony's biggest moneymaker. Can it be at risk? Yes, it can. Let me see. MBG 3 Pillars of Sony Gaming, Music, and Motion Pictures, aka movies. Sometimes cuts are necessary. You know? William, you're saying the Shino and Totoki are the right leaders for Sony PlayStation going into the PS6 gen? I'm fascinated. Like, I'm just so curious. Like, are things really just going to fall apart? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sit here and make it sound like Sony's immune. They're not immune to anything. But I don't know. Everything they're telegraphing to me seems like I'll put it to you this way. If things start to go wrong, I think they're betting on the right horse to help see them through. If that makes sense. So, like, if it does turn out that the PS6 era is actually going to be the toughest one for Sony, even harder than the PS3, and, you know, they're going to have to really kind of push through awkwardly to get through the upcoming years and to try to, like, you know, create a more stable path ahead. I think them deciding that if that is what we encounter, our best bet to get through that potentially is by leaning on what we've built for the last 30 years. Like, I mean, truly, like, leaning on the hardcore PlayStation fans and even beyond the hardcore, but the people who have been here every generation, and just kind of leaning into doing what we do best. And, you know, sure, if pricing is a big part of what creates that struggle, we'll see what happens there. Let's see what happens with the PS5 now being $600 and $650. We don't know what's going to happen yet. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you something right now. Something tells me if in the next 9 months, PS5 sales nosedive, I mean just full-blown nosedive, you'll probably see Sony reverse the price. You'll probably see them decide, okay, we actually have to. We have no choice. But, you know, we don't know. We don't know yet. I don't know. To me, that's just such a big thing to call out, you know, is that when we talk about Sony, they're a massive conglomerate, you know, they're a massive corporation, but it should not be understated ever that, like, gaming is their biggest moneymaker. And I love that. I love that so much because that's how I want it to be. I want Sony to be more and more and more of a gaming first company. I really do. And it really makes me feel good as a PlayStation player, as somebody who enjoys playing on PlayStation. I grew up with the consoles. You know, I've supported to a degree, even with the PS3, you know, every PlayStation console. It makes me feel really good that even now in the year 2026, regardless of all the bullshit that people are saying and spewing, the PS5's fucking here. It's dominant, and it's at the center of what they do. Why would I cry about that? Why the fuck would I cry about that, bro? That's what I want. That's what I was hoping for. Like, yes, I want to see this thing succeed, bro. I want to see it do well. I want to see it grow. I'm going to celebrate that like a fanboy should. Woo! I'm going to do backflips. I'm not doing backflips. I'll probably break my neck on stream. Not today. Not today. No backflips today. No, but I mean, you know, on a more serious note, like I'm really happy to see that the PS5, even through all of this, is still doing well because I want to see the console experience preserved. That's ultimately that's all it comes down to, man. It is unfortunate that the prices have to go up, and I am worried that those price hikes could, you know, damage the preservation of that console experience and you know the sustainability of it. But we won't know till we cross that bridge.
Tell me about the gaming business.
We are always talking about PlayStation should be a best place to play from users' perspective, and at the same time, best place to publish, because we have a great relationship with a bunch of third-party, game publishers, and of course we have great studios as a first party.
Sony's major.
Our studios are so good. We just had to shut 2 down. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I gotta bust his balls on that one. Like, come on, man. Our studios are so good, we just shut 2 of those motherfuckers down. All right. You know, I do want to say there's one thing he said. He said we have a great relationship with third-party publishers. I didn't get to cover this. I kind of skipped over it, but I'll mention it now. Sony is taking out more publishers. They removed more publishers. Hold on. They removed more slop publishers from the PlayStation storefront, and I do think that Sony is I think they've made it pretty clear by now. I think they've made it very clear. Larry, you want some treats? Okay, I'm just trying to get the treats. They made it very clear that they're not tolerating this slop on their store no more, dude. And, you know, I say good for Sony, bro. Like, they have to do this. If they are really serious about taking good care of their digital storefront, they have to remove this garbage. And I'm so glad to see that it's not just like a one-time thing. Like, they're just like walking down the block, man, knocking on the doors, you know, of these publishers. So if you're one of these slop AI garbage trash dookie publishers on PlayStation, your days are probably numbered. And I don't even feel a little bit bad because, like, good, make room for real devs. Make room for people who are actually, you know, indie devs who are really trying to put their heart and soul and actual elbow grease into making something that they believe in and give that an actual shot on this storefront, bro. Fuck this. Like, the worst offenders are the ones who try to trick people when there's like a hit game and then they make some kind of like knockoff. And that's where it's like, dude, Sony, I hope you nuke all of that because, yeah, that's just trash. They accidentally removed the Xbox games. You guys are diabolical, bro.
Major games include international blockbusters like God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, and Helldivers. But as successful as they've been, Totoki-san prefers to supervise rather than be a gamer himself.
I'm good at, the thinking about a business model and including a financial, and also think about the top-down approach. Which industry is suitable, which we have in Sony, which field we can capable to compete with the other companies. That kind of, the way of thinking is very helpful to develop my career.
Do you personally consume Sony creative product, whether it's games or films or music? I mean,
I love music and TV drama.
Fuck no.
And music, but I cannot play game, to be very honest. I can play, but it's a very, the primitive level.
And Sony is a major producer of the music and film that Totoki-san loves.
we are doing good business in the film, and of course, some films are volatile, but they try to avoid.
All right, I think that's all he had to say about. Yeah, I think so. They talk a little bit about movies. They talk a little bit about music. I think that's so funny though, man. He's not a gamer. Yo, Totoki exposed. Totoki exposed. He's not a gamer. He doesn't play games. How dare you? I mean, that's like the least surprising thing, dude. There's no way he was a gamer. You could just tell. You could just tell. Hold on, let me. Does he have to be? Not necessarily. I mean, it helps. It certainly helps. I would prefer. You know who is a gamer though? I'm pretty sure Hideaki Nishino. I'm pretty sure he games. And that let me get this out of here. And I think that might be even more important because Hiroki Totoki doesn't necessarily get to make any larger I mean, I guess he can. I don't fully understand how the Sony hierarchy listens or how it works. Saying as long as he listens to people who do. That's the thing. Like my assumption is that he placed Hideaki Nishino in charge for a reason. And I think Hideaki Nishino, when you look at all these decisions that are being made, for better or for worse, I think he's the one making them. But the stuff that people are maybe kind of feeling better about, where they're like less live service, wrapping up the mobile division, possible indication they're going to get more serious about more single player games going forward. By the way, guys, we are going to be wrapping this stream up in like 3 minutes. So we're doing a last call. Okay, last call. Again, we're sitting at 50 members. Big shout out to Silent Spartan for dropping that 50 today. You have 3 minutes. If you want to hit that 75 and you want me to do some Easter drumming, now's the time to do it. If not, though, 50 is more than enough. Greatly appreciate that. And if you have any more super chats or any more direct donations you're planning on dropping, now is the time to do it because we are going to be wrapping up momentarily. I got some Easter dinner plans and stuff like that. So we have Zanarkand Blitzer with the chat. He says, MBG, why are you hiding in the corner? Can't be seen. Keeping distance from the mold in the basement. Quiet, Zanarkand. I told you not to talk about that. And Mr. Veggie says, pill poppin' on a lonely Easter. Gid is dead to me. Mr. Veggie, I'm sorry, man. Cheer up, bro. Come on. Come on, man. Look, you're here with this beautiful community. Great people here. Try to cheer up. That's some heavy shit. I know it's hard, bro. I know it's hard. Life is rough. We're rooting for you, man. We're rooting for you, Mr. Veggie. Hang in there. The only way out is through. MBG Nishino loves gaming. He specifically likes classic PlayStation IP and co-op games. Mr. Veggie says, I do like you guys. Well, thank you. We like you too, Mr. Veggie. We like you too. Smurf says, great people. I don't know about that. We got some great people. Do we have some questionable people? Of course. But that comes with the territory. That comes with the territory. I'm on the internet, publicly facing, building a community. There's going to be some questionable people. But that's okay. Questionable doesn't always have to be bad. Doesn't always have to be bad. MBG, I found out yesterday it was announced that David Hayter is going to be one of the guests at Comic-Con London. I wasn't 100% sure to go, but now I think I might, as Saturday tickets are not expensive. Just extra on autographs / photo ops will cost more. You'll be the second person if you do that, Dwayne, that I think went to meet David Hayter. So let me know if you do, man. And let me know how it goes. That's pretty cool. Jim Ryan wasn't a gamer, no. Mr. B, you're saying you'd be very surprised if Asha Sharma stops porting games to PS5. Nishino has stated, quote, "I love single-player games," and specifically mentioned playing Bloodborne during the pandemic, calling it a challenging game, and he enjoyed playing on his couch. It's a good thing he specified he enjoyed playing on his couch. I would have assumed he enjoyed playing strapped into the wooden chair bolted on his ceiling upside down. No, that is so reassuring though. Like the person who's actually in charge of making all these decisions at PlayStation, it is nice to know that he games. And that's a big plus. I remember when Shuhei Yoshida, he platinum Bloodborne. So if Nishino's out here, if he beat Bloodborne, that's a big plus, man. Big plus. Nishino highlighted the upcoming 4-player online cooperative stealth game, Yako Shinobi Ops, during the February 2026 State of Play. Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Bloodborne remake, then? Holst is a gamer. He only plays Horizon and Concord. Do you think Herman Holst was going to play Concord and was like upset that Sony was like shut it down? How crazy would that be? That'd be crazy.
This is an incredibly exciting time for PlayStation.
All right, where are we at? Okay, so we got 1 minute, guys. Final countdown, and then we'll wrap up. They're not addictive pills, just kick-ass sleep sedatives. Okay, well, yeah, be careful. Be careful, Mr. Veggie. Concord shutting down gave him PTSD. Shuhei Yoshida sometimes likes your tweets. He's a cool guy. That is cool. Herman Holst needs to go back as a game director. He was great at that. Gaming Survivor is saying you picked up sushi to celebrate. William, you're saying Nishino being made SIE CEO instead of Holst was the best decision Totoki made. I agree with that. Yeah, Herman Holst being like the head honcho of everything would have been, oh boy, that would have been very concerning. I would like to see Hideaki Nishino. I mean, he seemingly doesn't really give many, as far as I'm aware, he doesn't give many interviews. I haven't seen much with him. My guess is the next time we'll see him, like more publicly and talking, is at the May business update that they do. I'm assuming we'll see both him and Herman Holst. And I think, yeah, I do think that this upcoming business segment meeting has the chance to be way more interesting than previous years because of everything that we're hearing about, you know, changing in the background and some major strategy shifts and pivots and everything seemingly in preparation for the PlayStation 6 generation. So I think we're going to learn quite a bit. Yeah. Did we get a date for that yet, by the way? I don't think they gave the date yet, right? I definitely want to watch that with you guys and react to that, hear what they got to say. That would be crazy. They could do that. They could just like summarize it in a sentence and then move on. And they might. I mean, Sony tries not to make like a big deal about these things. This they might want to make a big deal about, though. It might be intentional. Like they may have some major marketing plan. I don't know if they will, but there is a chance that like they actually really want to start very much communicating like back to the PlayStation roots, you know? And that would be great, dude. I'm telling you, if they did that shit leading up to the PS6, that'd be amazing. They would 100% start winning people over. I don't care what anybody says. Like that would work more effectively than I think people realize. Because that's what the fans have been asking them to do a little bit more aggressively or a lot more aggressively for a long time. Not yet. The BSM is usually done around the time of their gaming presentation, State of Play, so it can be May or June. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we are expecting a major State of Play probably at the end of May or early June. If you did, would you keep Rocksteady or give the Arkham franchise to a PlayStation studio? I would only give the Arkham franchise to a PlayStation studio if there was a PlayStation studio that wanted to develop it. Like, if Insomniac was like, we'd like to try our hand at making a Batman Arkham game, I'd be like, yeah, I'd love to see it. But if they were like, nah, we're good. MBG, who is interviewing Totoki? Where's the video? I'll link the video for you. I don't know who is interviewing. I think it's Bloomberg, actually. Yeah. Let me get that video link. Hold on.
Of my career.
Do you personally
All right, here you go, Zanarkand. That is the link to the video I was watching. So if you want to watch the whole thing. Guys, all right, that is going to wrap up today's Press X podcast episode. But before I head out, I want to ask you to take a moment. Make sure you hit that like button. You guys killed it today. Thank you so much. We're at 171 likes. So we're very close to 200. As you're heading out, make sure you hit that like button. Not going to lie, my Victory Sushi tastes real good. Guerrilla expanded their team. They hired shooter devs. When did they do that? Recently? I haven't seen anything on that. But all right, guys, please enjoy the rest of your Easter Sunday. And again, thank you all so much for tuning in today and taking time out of your holiday to listen in and come hang out with me. It'll be interesting to see what this upcoming week of news brings. I'm sure there's going to be some interesting stuff going on, especially leading into May. And I also want to give a big shout out to everybody who dropped any support. Again, thank you for the memberships. We can shout out Silent Spartan. He dropped 50 memberships on you guys today. Big shout out to anybody who dropped any super chats or direct donations. As I say, and will continue to do so as long as it remains true, I can only do what I do here because you guys make it possible. So sincerely, thank you all so much for that. And also want to make sure to give a big shout out to Devil Shooter, who does the timestamps for the Press X podcast episodes. So if you guys see him with those timestamps in the comments, make sure you show him some love, give him some thanks. I know he really appreciates that. And yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up today, guys. So I did put a video out earlier if you want to check that out as well. If you want any more content, if you just want to go over all the topics, because I know sometimes we're a little bit all over the place with these topics during the stream. But if you want them in a more concise manner, I usually put them all in news videos. And we should be back here tomorrow with another Press X podcast episode as well. Okay, I think tomorrow, unless there's some major breaking news, I kind of want to talk about the idea of Sony going all in with PlayStation 6 only exclusives, perhaps. That could make for an interesting conversation. But yeah, all right, guys, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care, everyone.